Hello. You're probably wondering what this video is. Well, it's finally time. I've done it. It's real. I've stopped putting it off. Today, we're going to learn something. Now, many of you in the audience, I know, in my heart, are gamers. Because why wouldn't you be? Why else would you watch such wonderful, unedited, excruciatingly long, amazingly funny video, hour long, hours, 9 hour videos of gaming, of pure, unfiltered gaming. No breaks, no pauses, no nothing, just gaming. But many of you out there need help. Luckily, you found this video, and I found a guide. More specifically, a guide from one of the ultimate gamers, one of the legendary few who's made it in this gaming world. Right there. That's him. I've read this book cover to cover. I guarantee you that's something that I've done before this video. And it's helped me become a gamer from his tips and tricks on tilting and losing, which is something you'll never have to deal with again after this book, after this video. After I lead you through this book, I will be your guide, your spiritual gamer guide to Ninja's Get Good, my ultimate guide to gaming. Pro Gamer Ninja shares his secrets to becoming unstoppable. Tyler Blevins. True story. Now, this book, it includes so many things. It let's take a look at the back. It tells you that this book, this video, will guide you to build a gaming PC, which obviously is a requirement for your gaming, for you, the gamer watching this video. It'll teach you to practice with purpose. You won't become a gamer overnight. Watching this video, you won't you won't suddenly know all the delicate intricacies of gaming. You don't It's more complicated than that. It's a science. It's a skill, and that takes practice. To become perfect, one must practice. And to practice, you must have purpose. And this book, it taught me, and it will teach you. Believe me. It'll help you set goals for improving. Everyone needs to improve. Clearly, you do. You're watching this video. You suck, but you soon you won't. Trust me. It'll help you develop strategy. Strategy is important. Strategy, strategy is how you win. It'll help you hone your competitive spirit. Hone. That's what I said. Your competitive spirit, instinct. We're off to an amazing start. Thank you, Ninja, my good friend, who asked me to make this video. Him right there. Not anyway. It'll help you build the right team. If you're losing, if you game, and your whole team is yourself, that's why you lose. And if you're playing with a team, if you play hours with people and you lose and you lose and you lose, you suck and you need to get a new team because they suck too. That's why you've seen my videos. You've seen my team that I've built painstakingly. And have we ever lost in any of our videos? No. because I built the right team by reading this book. Ninja, he's part of my team, in my heart, in my soul. He's not actually in any of the videos, but he told me that he's part of the right team, and I built that. Uh, it'll teach you to stream with skill. Now, I'm no streamer yet. You never know. You never. But I'm no I'm no streamer. But this guy, he's on. You've seen the clips. You've seen him stream. You've seen his videos, his streamer clips where he said so many wonderful things about people and gaming and the people that he games with, his team, his right team, his team. Uh, and it'll help you form a community online. A community. Gamers cannot survive on their own. You may think that you can. You may think that you are the Sigma gamer, that you have the grind set, but that'll only get you so far. Once you grind too much, you grind yourself down. There's nothing left. It's just you. You grind yourself down to nothing. And that may be the Sigma way, but it is not the gamer way. This book, Forming a Community, it's one of the many ways to get that dub. Let's get it. Let's get that dub, gamers, as a community. The gamer community comes together to read this book, to win, to get that dub, to be a community, and to game together with the right team and get good. Let's just jump into it. Ninja Get Good, My Ultimate Guide to Gaming. Tyler Blevins. Full title. True story. There he is, the man himself. There's a lot of him in here. You'll see him several times. Sev a lot. I mean, like the very next page, this book is for Jessica. I can only assume that once Jessica read this book, she became a gamer, and she knew. She put in the practice. She put in the work, the hours, the time to build the right team, build a community, and to stream, to game, because that's what it's truly about, gaming. Now we reach the table of contents. We have an introduction. We have chapter 1, Gear Up. Chapter 2, Power Up, like Goku. He's he's a gamer. Goku is a gamer. If you game, if you read this book, you could be like Goku. You know how I know? What color hair does Goku have? Trick question. He has all the colors. He's Goku. But one of those colors is blue. You know what color hair Ninja has? Yeah, yeah. Blue hair doesn't just mean pronouns. It means there's a gamer under that mop of blue. Now, no, chapter 3 is called Level Up. That's important because in gaming, you start at the bottom. You start at level 1. But get to the top, to reach the top, you have to get that level up. You got to raise those numbers. You got to level up. You got to go up. You got to get better. You got to get good. And this is the guide to gaming. Tyler Blevins, Pro Gamer Ninja, shares his secrets to becoming unstoppable. That's what you want. Chapter 4 is to team up. You can't become unstoppable on your own. You can't be the ultimate gamer. You can't. There's no one ultimate gamer. It's a team. It takes a group effort. You got to team up, build the right team. Then you got to blow up. That's chapter 5. Chapter 6, grow up. Gaming's not just for school and teens and babies and no. You got to grow up. Gaming is for everyone. Everyone can be a gamer. So grow up. And then we have some acknowledgments, some resources, and index, all that loser shit in the back of the book. Now, the introduction. There's another picture of him right there, uh, of Ninja in his gamer chair. Now that's important. A good chair is good gaming. Now let's read this introduction. Why don't we? Reader, a few things before we drop in. The book you're holding was designed with a single idea in mind. What I wish I had known about gaming when I was starting to get serious about it. Sorry, that's where the camera. Um, this isn't really meant to be the kind of book you pick up and read, starting on the first page and ending on the last. Though you can do that if you want. Just for you, gamers, I I can't promise anything. I don't know how much effort I'm even gonna. I don't even know if I'm gonna read this whole thing, honestly. But the plan, the simple plan is that this video will be unlike any other on my channel. It'll be edited. It'll be no, that's it really. I just plan on editing it, and I will put timestamps to the different chapters and things in the. I'll segment out the video so that you don't have to. So you can. I'm not gonna do that, but I might. But what if I do? Watch to the end. Woo! It's more like a reference book, an encyclopedia by me, Ninja. Um, Not me. I'm just I'm the messenger. I'm the humble spokesperson. And for gamers like us, all of us, you watching the video, me, Ninja, these guys, I guess, anybody out there that way, that gamers, the lot of us everywhere, all over the world. It's a compendium of some of the tips and tricks I've collected over the years, arranged in one place so that you can look to it when you need some guidance on the little things or the big ones. Whether you're brand new to gaming or you're a grizzled veteran, I think you'll learn something new. That's right. This video is not just for you newbies out there. It's for the veterans, it's for the vets, it's for the gamers, the entire gaming community online. Because there's no one here. The best place for a book like this is right by your computer or your console. Now, unfortunately, I can't say I keep this book by my computer or my console. I keep it where it belongs, next to the other sacred tomes, next to the Minecraft Bible in my closet. But it's it's very close to me. And I mean there's consoles over there. You can't see them, but they're there. And the book is relatively close to them. I know I'm not. It's a bad start that I've already contradicted the book, but Anyways, it's meant to be used, not just read and then put on the shelf. Yeah, this, listen, I've gotten my use out of this bad boy. I've taken many a time to educate, to uh tell people in tell my friends when we're losing in a game, I stand up, I go to my closet, I get this book, and I read some tips and tricks. And you know what happens after that? We win because we're a team. And Ninja, he's our guide to gaming. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know where I. There's a lot of words. It's yeah, you can look at it when you have questions or you feel stuck. This video, this video is like the Nintendo Power Hotline for all gamers, no matter what. And well, and this book is like the magazine. I'm just the guy on the phone who tells you who's reading the magazine, and then I tell you what to do. But it's in a video because I got things to do. Uh, Revisit it occasionally to see if you learn something new. Write your own tips or discoveries in the margins, and dog ear pages you find especially useful. If you ever ask me to sign your copy, I want to see you've really put it to use. Now, I haven't done any of that to my copy. I've kept it, pristine because it's a very important book to me. That's the reason that there's nothing written in here at all, and why none of the pages are dog-eared or revisited very often. But that's also why the book isn't signed. But it will be, maybe. Um, yeah, there are a couple content features in here you should know before you start reading. Hotfix boxes explain quick ways to address common errors, while boxes marked Ninja's Way, those are the good ones, are specific illustrations that they're not pictures. The only pictures in this book are, I mean, most of them are just of him. Uh, Specific illustrations of how I personally handle the challenges that I'll describe in more abstract terms in the main text. Yeah, it's not very hard to understand. It's the same. It's just finally, there are also exercises and even a little game. Sorry, I read ahead of myself. There are games and exercises to train your gaming muscles. So that you know where your gaming muscles are? In here. Yeah. Finally, I've added a list of resources at the back that you can check out once you've exhausted what I've written here. There's only so much you can say in a single book, so I want you to know where you can go when you're ready to take your game to the next level. Those resources will be in the description. I guess they're in the book. But do you really? I mean, he says you can't put everything in just one book, but I mean, come on. You look at him. That's a guy. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what's in this book, and it's the good stuff. And let me tell you, I have not used a single other resource. Just this book, and I game. We game. All of us together. You and me. We game, and we game hard. Whenever the question gaming hard or hardly gaming is asked, it's rhetorical because we're gaming hard all the time. Unlike games, you only get one chance when it comes to books. And so I've tried to make a I've to make the wisdom in here as timeless as possible. And it is. Trust me. This book, this book is like 7 years old and it holds up. It's peak. That means I don't talk much about how to play specific games. Instead, I talk about gaming, which is what we're here for. We all play different games as gamers. Gamers are a diverse group. We got all the different kinds of gamers, but in the end, it's not about what game you play. It's about the game. That's what it's all about. It's all about the game. And the game, that could be any game. It doesn't matter. The point is that it's a game. And this will help you with that game. It'll help you game on those games that you game. So that's what it's all about. The game. Can you believe it? We're already on page 9, guys. I mean, this is just going great. So instead, I talk about gaming. I'll use Fortnite, Apex Legends, and plenty of other games as examples throughout the book. But most of the content in here is meant to be bigger than any one game. Games come and go, and you'll have to go with them. But if you pay attention to the lessons in this book, you'll find that you're never really starting over. Who knows? Maybe you'll even beat me someday. Or not. That's up to you. Do you think you have what it takes to beat Ninja? Ninja? Him? Ninja Fortnite Tyler Blevins? Fortnite Ninja? From Fortnite Ninja? If you think you have what it takes and you haven't read this book, you're wrong. But after today, maybe you'll have a chance. Maybe you'll be part of the ultimate gamer team that beats Ninja. It's time for chapter 1. It's time to gear up. And that's him. That's him again with his gear. He's geared up. You see him? He's geared up. He's got the gear for gaming, which is clearly a requirement. You can't just game with any old stuff. You need the gear. The gamer gear. If that shit doesn't light up in 3 to 6 different colors, what are you doing? What are you doing? If you don't have an RGB mouse pad that you need to plug in for it to light up, you got to gear up, man. You got to gear up for gaming. Every gamer relies on hardware, like power plants or electricity. It's the foundation that makes gaming possible. And when our equipment is working, we don't have to think about it at all. And that's good. You don't want to think constantly about your your PC, your mouse, your keyboard, your headset. You don't want to think about how that's all falling apart, how it's collapsing in around you, how things just turn off, how things just don't work. You can't blame the hardware. You need to gear up so that it's all about the game. And that's what's going on in your head. The game. not the gamer hardware, not the gear, not the gamer gear, not the RGB, the game. Mice, keyboards, and headsets should all feel like a natural part of your body so that you can trust your tools. You have to meld, you have to be one with the gamer gear, like it's a part of you, like you're a gamer, because you are. Believe me, there's nothing worse than knowing you lost a game because your equipment failed you. Losses like that are demotivating, and more important, when you're trying to get better, there are opportunities lost. No Johns, gamers. You don't need to you can't take back a loss. You can't blame a loss on something that's out of your control when you have the opportunity to fix it, to gear up, to get better like this. You can't blame this for your mistakes. The only person you can blame is you, as long as you get the good gears that it actually works and you're not blaming the no Johns. Page 13. Now, here's an opportunity to skip ahead because we've got the monitor on page 25. We've got the headset on page 28. Got the mouse on page 18. And we got the mechanical keyboard on page 14. So if you think that you don't need the ninja's knowledge on headsets or keyboards or mice or one of those four things, then why don't you just skip past it? Skip forward to the ones you think you do need, or maybe the reason that there's nothing to help you skip through is because you don't know when you haven't heard from Ninja. Sorry, he's not on the cover. He's on the back. He's right there from Ninja. Ninja. Him. So you're gonna listen. You're gonna listen real good to what Ninja has to say about monitors, headsets, mice, mechanical keyboards, in the opposite order that I just listed them off in. Yeah, already using your brain. That's the game. But even if your equipment isn't failing mid-game, is it doing as much as it can for you? Too often, we don't think about tools we rely on because they work most of the time. Here's the thing though, not every piece of hardware is created equal. And just because it isn't broken doesn't mean it's the best choice for you. Mice, mouse pads, keyboards, and headsets, each product comes with its own capabilities, and some of those are better for certain games and gamers than others. If you want to be the best, what you do, if you're watching this video, if you're reading this book, that's your goal. To be the best, to be the gamer, to be a gamer. And gamers are the best. It's all about the game. Game is the best. Gamers are the best. Gamers, they're the most feared community online because of how powerful they are in the game because they game so hard. That's why. If you want to be the best, you need to make sure you have the right tools for the job. Keep in mind, without a stable, high-speed connection, your fancy hardware will go to waste in online games. That's right. Get an Ethernet cord like this one from my ceiling. There's a hole drilled in my ceiling for online gaming. That's what you need. The game hard. You can't have all this fancy RGB without the Ethernet. If you're gonna be a real gamer and play with other gamers online, there's a lot to consider when picking the right tool for the job. And every choice is an opportunity to be the best player you can be. Ultimately, you're going to have to choose what works for you, but that doesn't mean the decision is simple or automatic. Sometimes there really is a best piece of hardware, but most of the time, there are only ones that are right and wrong for you. You need to personalize your gaming experience, whether that's the game you play or the thing you game on or with. Yeah. To navigate this gray area, I want to help you really consider why you use what you use and what you could be using instead. So many choices, choices galore, choices, choices. Your goal is to be more intentional about your choices and help you see the choices you didn't even realize you were making. Don't just fall back on the default or copy someone, even me. Now, let's gear up. You gotta think about this stuff. Why you need a mechanical keyboard. Why you need something that's not sorry, it's um uh something better than this, than that and that. He's gonna tell you why and just to uh when you're just getting started with gaming, any old kind of keyboard can work, but if you want to get serious about playing well, then it's time to get a mechanical keyboard. What's the difference between that and a membrane keyboard? There are a few distinctions, but the big one is that your average USB keyboard has a single membrane inside it that's in charge of outputting signals to the computer. Works fine most of the time, but the signals can sometimes get muddled and the keyboard has to send a bunch at once when you're gaming. Fast, when you're gaming hard, gaming fast, pressing all the keys in your keyboard in like League. Don't play League. You can game, don't play League. That's not what this video is about. Ignore the Discord messages, those are going to happen. The keyboards input overflow means typos if you're typing or false key presses if you're gaming. Mechanical keyboards solve this by putting each key on its own switch. That way, there's no chance for the signals to get muddled. And when you're playing an intense game, a single false key press can be the difference between victory and defeat. Unlike a membrane keyboard, a mechanical keyboard is a built-in feedback mechanism, the signature click that registers a successful key press. Finally, mechanical keyboards are a lot more reliable. A good key will last you 100 million clicks or more. Now that's a lot of reloads, edits. Fortnite. For all of these reasons, mechanical keyboards are the best choice for gaming, but you still have plenty of choices to make. Full size or half size layout. What style of switches should you get? Let's walk through these. But before that, there's a hot fix. You might be tempted by wireless keyboards, but don't be. Not only are they way more expensive and need regular charging, but they have slightly more latency than a mechanical keyboard. In a tight match, every advantage counts. He's gonna say the same thing about headsets. Please, please. Go for the compact keyboard. Most mechanical keyboard manufacturers make both full-size and compact or 10 keyless keyboards. The main difference is that a full-size keyboard includes a number grid on the right side of the keyboard in addition to the alphabetical grid, whereas a compact or 10 keyless skips the number grid. Get it? Because it's 10 keys on the numpad, which the half size gets rid of that. That's why it's 10 keyless. The cons are obvious. Fewer keys, but compact keyboards tend to be cheaper. Take note how many moving parts there are, even if a single key of it. Sorry, wait. Tend to be cheaper. Take take up less space in your desk. Sorry, there's a whole page here that's separate from where this paragraph goes. It's a yeah. I must have forgotten. Well, silly me. My head wasn't in the game. You see, and that's a problem. That's a demonstration of what not to do. Do as Ninja says, not as I do. They take up less space in your desk, are easier to transport, and are slightly more ergonomic. If you're really only going to be gaming, because let's are you really gonna text back those Discord messages? A compact one is often the better option, since you'll have one hand on your mouse and another on WASD, your movement keys. That's WASD for you super newbie gamers in the chat. Chances are that you probably won't miss those number keys. Customize your keyboard. But before we learn about customizing the keyboard, let's go back to keyboards at a glance. We've got some diagrams. Note how many moving parts there are even in a single key of a mechanical keyboard. This gives you superior control and quality, but comes at a cost. With just one big membrane beneath the keys, you can see why a membrane keyboard is cheaper but flimsier than a mechanical one. Upgrade to a mechanical one as soon as you can. And we've got sorry some diagrams. There's the mechanical key. Note all the pieces, and there's the other one, the lame, shitty one. That's bad. If you use a membrane keyboard, fuck you. Get a better one. Full versus half keyboards. On the other hand, now that you've moved on from your horrible membrane keyboards, and you've gotten a mechanical one, you gotta look full versus half, like we've said. Think carefully before splurging on a full-size keyboard. You'd be surprised how little you'll miss those number keys when you're gaming. And then, I mean, there's the full size, there's the half size. I mean, you're missing a little bit more than number keys there, Ninja. You're missing like most of the alphabet, for typing. But yeah, no, he's right. He's always right. Customize your keyboard. One of the big advantages of mechanical keyboards is their customizability, especially with the switch mechanism. Different types of switches can adjust the volume of the click of a key press, useful if you play in a shared space, as well as the actuation point, the amount of force needed to register a key press. Some people like it harder and some softer, but it's not just preference. Check out the chart opposite to get a sense of your needs. Yeah, bitch. There's charts and a picture of him typing or gaming. I mean, gaming. He doesn't type, he games. He games. We all game. We're gamers. We're gamers. It's a gaming community. It's a gaming. We game. If somebody wants to count the amount of times I say the word game, gamers, and or gaming in this video, please. Choosing mechanical keyboard switches. Curious about the difference between red, black, and brown switches? It's subtle, but it mostly has to do with how much pressure you need to apply to a key in order for a keystroke to register what's technically called an actuation force. The exact amount varies from brand to brand, but black switches tend to require the most force, red the least, and brown somewhere in the middle. The drawback to a low actuation force, however, is that you're more likely to accidentally press a button. That's why fast, reflex-based games like first-person shooters benefit most from red switches, while other games with more elaborate keyboard layouts, MOBAs, MMOs, etc., benefit from slightly more precise switches like brown and black. Ultimately, though, you should choose what feels most comfortable to you. And the chart that I'm sure you're very interested in. Uh, do you prefer light or heavy keys? Let me. Uh, if you prefer light, what games do you play? If you play all games, go for brown. If you only play FPS games, go for the red. If you prefer heavy keys, just go for black. Just all around, doesn't matter what you play. Yeah. Now moving on to mice. Not the rodents, the gamer gear. And there's another picture of Ninja for you holding a mouse. Very impressive. Now what makes a good mouse? A good mouse is one of the most important pieces of gear in any serious gamer's arsenal. It's the tip of your spear and you want it to be as sharp as possible. That's why mouse accuracy is arguably the most important mechanical skill any gamer can develop, no matter what genre they're into. Yeah, but to really master mouse accuracy, you need to be extremely comfortable with your mouse, and that means knowing how mice work and the options that are available to you. Even with something as simple as a mouse, there's a lot to consider. Invest in a gaming mouse, not actually I don't have a do I have a shitter mouse in here? Oh yeah. Yeah, no one's going to get offended at this. Uh I'm sure. Okay, I can't even get the end of it out. Every gamer has a box of cables and wheeze that is just a mess, right? I mean, yeah. So you see this? It's got three buttons on it. It's got a wheel. It's not even like a light. It's got a physical wheel. Don't use this. What are you insane? It doesn't even have a scroll wheel. Don't use this. You want this. You want a gamer mouse. You want a game. You want to game hard or that's it. That's your only option. To game hard. To game hard. Gaming game. Every mouse has what's called a CMOS sensor, aka complementary metal oxide semiconductor that takes thousands of pictures each second. A tiny onboard computer compares these images to one another to determine the distance the mouse has traveled, which it then communicates to the computer. While you could use any old mouse to play computer games, you'll want to get an actual gaming mouse if you want to play your best. Brands like Razer, SteelSeries, and Logitech make good ones. That's because, unlike the mouse that gets shipped with the basic office computer, gaming mice are built to endure years of heavy use, have better sensors that stay accurate even at high speeds, and can adjust their settings on the fly based on your needs. Can confirm as a man with a gamer mouse. And here it has, if you're some sort of chump and you don't want to read this whole paragraph about gaming mice, it has that gaming mice are built to endure years of heavy use, have better sensors that stay accurate even at high speeds, and can adjust your settings on the fly based on your needs. Again, right there in bigger text. I heard a sound and I don't know what it was. Adjust your DPI to suit your game. One of the advantages of gaming mice is that you can adjust your DPI, That's dots per square inch, meaning how many pixels your cursor can move when you move your mouse 1 inch based on your specific needs. Many mice even let you do that just by pressing a button on the mouse. That's important because different games have different optimal mouse settings. Take Counter Strike or any shooter game. Pros in these games tend to use a low DPI, around 800 or less, and low sensitivity, which lets them have more control over their movements. That way, if you need to turn your character around quickly to do a flick shot, more on that in Chapter 2. I know you're excited for flicks. You can whip your arm across the mouse pad, but you need to make smaller adjustments. But if you need to make smaller adjustments, you only have to move your wrist. That's why it's important to have a lot of room on your desk for your mouse and not cover it with something silly like Legos, just as an example. When to get a macro mouse? If you're into MOBAs, multiplayer online battle arenas like League of Legends, or MMOs, massively multiplayer online like World of Warcraft, you might consider getting a mouse like Razer's Naga Trinity, which has a side panel you can swap out if you need extra buttons. These mice let you map those skills to extra buttons, letting you control everything your character needs to do using the mouse as well as the keyboard. Here's a tip. A macro mouse can be useful if you're playing games like League of Legends or World of Warcraft, in which characters have a lot of abilities to manage. And that is different from what he said in the last paragraph. Go for the wired mouse. Not only are they cheaper, but wired mice have better in game performance as well. Wireless mice have input lags of anywhere from 8 to 16 milliseconds, and while that might not sound like much, it can make a difference at very high levels of play, especially in games where reaction time is crucial. With that said, wireless mice can be useful too in the right circumstances if you're going to be doing some casual console gaming. On your couch, a wireless mouse and a laptop pad can be a helpful ally. Just remember to keep it charged. There's nothing more frustrating than waiting for your mouse to charge when you'd rather be playing. And on the subject of laptop pads, God, just if you're a real gamer, you know you use a mouse, not a laptop, not a for gaming. That would be absurd. Only crazy people do that. Only people who aren't gamers. Gaming mice myths. Busted? Log on to any gaming forum and you'll find people arguing about hardware. It's true all the time. Any forum, any server, any Discord, anything, you're gonna be see people arguing about gaming mice. I don't know why that just oh. Now let's take a look. Oh, especially mice. Let's take a look at some common myths and separate fact from fiction. Myth: optical mice are better than laser mice. This one's half true. Optical mice are better in most situations, but a laser mouse is really just one kind of optical mouse. Both types use the same CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor sensors, but laser mice illuminate whatever surface they're on using a laser, obviously, instead of infrared or LED light. Lasers are so accurate that they actually respond to the material itself and not just the distance the sensor travels, which can be a problem if you're on a soft surface like a gaming mousepad. Since most gamers have a dedicated mousepad, see page 22. 2 pages away, guys. We're on page 20, 21. Actually, it's next page. But this page isn't numbered, so I don't know if it counts. So mice optical sensors are the better choice. Myth: higher DPI is better. False. While it might seem like higher DPI means a mouse is superior, the truth is the DPI of most gaming mice is overkill. Myth: Your mouse sensitivity in Windows should be set to 6 out of 11. Also false. For a long time, this was true. Your mouse sensitivity in Windows also determined in-game sensitivity, and setting it at 6 out of 11 was the best way to ensure that data from your mouse was represented accurately on screen. But pretty much every game made since 2000 uses raw or direct input, meaning that they bypass the Windows sensitivity setting in favor of their sensitivity. So focus your attention on in-game settings, not Windows, which everybody uses. All gamers, obviously. If you're not on Windows, I mean, you're insane. Don't ignore your mouse pad. It did count. This is page 22. Okay. Because they're so simple or seem like it, mouse pads often get overlooked, but they're a crucial part of your setup because they bring out the best in your mouse. Letting you make more accurate and smoother movements, that fancy high-end Razer isn't going to do much for you if it's on an old, frayed mouse pad. Mouse pads might not have as many moving parts as mice, but there's still a few things to consider. Settle on a hard or soft pad. Soft pads are usually made of a synthetic cloth top and a rubberized bottom that keeps them from slipping. Hard ones are usually made from plastic and can provide an even smoother base for your mouse that requires less movement on your part, which some professional players, especially in aim centric games like Counter Strike, prefer. That said, you can roll up a soft pad and take it to your friend's place, but it's a little less convenient to do that with a hard pad. Come on, Ninja. We're building an online community. Nobody's taking mouse pads to their friends' houses. Select the right size. Remember when we talked about DPI in mice? Well, that's relevant here too. If your game is going to require you to make big arm movements, like many shooters do, you're going to need a big mouse pad that can support those movements. But if you're into MOBAs, strategy games, or MMOs, you can get away with a smaller pad. If you like to play a lot of different genres, it's best to go big. Games versus mousepad size. We got a table here and everything. I'll show it closer once I read the small paragraph. Picking the right mousepad means weighing a number of different factors. What kinds of games do you play? How do you want versatility or specialization? How much desk space do you have? What's your budget? Remember, even if you order online, you can and should try a pad for yourself at a physical retailer. Now we have the table. Good for shooters. We got MOBAs. We got MOBAs or MMOs. We got good for all games. You got all the size options there. You choose. You're the gamer, and it's personalized. Don't just copy someone's setup. You know that'd be horrible of you to do. Sorry. How to get the right hardware for any budget. Steal. Don't do that. Don't do that. That Ninja does not approve of stealing. There's a picture of him again. It's in black and white. Now that we've talked about the hardware outside of your computer, we can take a closer look at what's inside it. Every gaming computer is built from the same set of parts. Sorry, wait, we're still going to talk about external stuff. The next page has stuff about monitors, and we haven't talked about headsets yet. Anyways, every gaming computer is built from the same set of parts: a central processing unit, CPU, a video card, a hard drive, a motherboard, and a random access memory, RAM. You can always get a pre-built one from a company like CyberPower PC. Let's Build or I Buy Power, but I strongly recommend building your own. Not only because it's cheaper, but because you'll also learn a lot about the technology that makes gaming possible. You'll also be better prepared to troubleshoot any problems on your own. It's also a lot of work. What makes a monitor good? Good. It has there's quotes on it. For obvious reasons, monitors are a critical part of your setup, so it's worth springing for a high quality one when you're able to. As with all the other hardware we've discussed, a number of things should be considered. Size, refresh rate, and resolution are the most important ones, but most of all, you have to match your monitor to your hardware. If you don't, you're just wasting money. We have another hot fix, guys. Woo! The best combination of hardware, where price meets performance, changes so often that it's not worth trying to list one here. Instead, you'll want to reference frequently updated online sites to determine the right gaming PC for you. Logical Increments, www.logicalincrements.com, is updated monthly to list the most cost effective build from a few $100s to a few thousand. A bigger screen isn't always a better one. Gaming monitors tend to fall anywhere from 21 inches, measured diagonally, to 27 inches, also measured diagonally. While it may be tempting to go bigger, we all love a huge flat screen television, the increased screen size means that you'll need to sit farther back for an optimal viewing angle. If you're gaming at your desk, sitting back far enough can present some serious logistical challenges, in addition to hurting your ergonomics, so stick with something in the 21 to 27 inch range. That said, if you're aiming toward a higher end of that, it's better to spring for a higher resolution monitor. 1080p at 27 inches can look stretched, especially if you're used to playing games in 4K. Don't let your resolution exceed what your hardware can do. Almost every gaming monitor comes in one of three sizes: 1080p, Full HD, 1440p, QHD, or 2160p, UHD, or 4K. More resolution means more pixels, which means a sharper image. That can definitely help you get ahead in game, but it also means that your all important frames per second will suffer. The extra resolution is never worth it. Most common mistakes people make when selecting hardware: skimping on the video card. In almost all circumstances, the video card and not the processor or any other component is going to be the limiting factor for your computer. An excellent processor with a mediocre video card won't have overall performance better than a mediocre processor and a mediocre video card. So your GPU, graphics processing unit, is where the majority of your budget should go. And it's not uncommon to spend close to half the price of your computer on that alone. Spending too much on the CPU. CPUs, central processing units, are massively powerful these days, and most series processors have lots of extra cores to really crunch those numbers. But many game engines aren't even set up to take advantage of extra cores, so you're often wasting money on processing power you won't get to use. That said, if you plan on streaming or making your own videos, those extra cores can make a big difference. Be sure you do your research before you buy. Getting too much RAM. For most users, 8 gigabytes is all the RAM random access memory you'll ever need. Getting more RAM does not necessarily mean better performance. If a program can utilize only 4 gigabytes of RAM, it's going to utilize 4 gigabytes of RAM. Whether or not you have 4, 8, or 16 gigabytes of it, relatively few games are designed to use more than 8 gigabytes of RAM at once. Though that will probably change in the future, so unless you're going to do lots of video editing, anything above that isn't going to do you much good. If you really want to spend extra money on RAM, spend it on faster RAM, not more of it. Not checking compatibility. Not all hardware is compatible with all other hardware. An Intel processor won't work with a motherboard designed for AMD chips, for example. There's nothing more frustrating than realizing the nice piece of gear you just bought won't work with your computer. To save time and money, use a tool such as PC Part Picker, pcpartpicker.com, to check that each of your components is ready to play nice with one another. If your video feed is stuttering, keep in mind that the number of pixels your computer has to render increases exponentially, not linearly. As screen resolutions increase, which means playing in 1440p or 2160p, place much larger burdens on your GPU. That was continued from the last page, I guess. I don't even know what that's about. Yeah, the resolution. Yeah. Aim for the highest refresh rate you can. A refresh rate measured in hertz is how many times a monitor can refresh its on-screen image per second. Most modern gaming monitors have one of three refresh rates: 60 Hz, 144 Hz, and 240 Hz. The higher the refresh rate, the smoother the game will be. In high-paced games like such as shooters, this means that you'll be able to see very fast-moving objects on screen that might otherwise disappear between frames. Trade-off is that putting out more frames per second requires more powerful hardware, so there's no use getting a high refresh rate monitor if your computer can't handle it. Fortunately, the burden more FPS frames per second placed in your GPU increases linearly, not exponentially, so it's easier to get the benefits of a high refresh rate monitor than a high resolution one. And then there's a chart there for you. Yeah. A gaming headset is crucial. This is a picture of Ninja with a headset on this time. And pink hair. Not just blue. That's right. Remember when Goku had pink hair? Communication is an essential part of competitive gaming, which means that your headset, your primary tool for hearing and being heard, is a vital part of your arsenal. If you can't speak, whether it's to your teammates or practice partners, then you won't play your best. Period. That's it. You need a gaming headset to game. It's all about the game, but it's also about your team. And this is where your team is. Because again, nobody does LAN parties for gaming, really, unless you're playing Nintendo. You can always use the external speakers that come with your computer or a webcam microphone, of course, but the sound and recording quality are usually inferior and can disturb others around you, and vice versa. For that reason alone, a dedicated gaming headset is the way to go. Pick your headset like a pro. You'll want to consider a couple of things when looking at gaming headsets. Comfort. If a headset pinches your ears or falls off your head, then it's not right for you. Simple. Audio quality. Have you ever put on a nice pair of headphones and listened to a song you like and heard something that you've never heard before? That's because higher quality audio is crisper. It's easier to make out individual sounds. When you're gaming, more information always makes for a better player. Build quality and price. This is especially important if you think you're going to be using the headset in your day to day life, too. Like everything else, you'll want to hit the right balance of price and performance when buying a gaming headset. But if you're going to use your headphones at school or other places, you need to make sure you get a pair that's tough enough to be used every day. If the headset is going to sit at your computer desk, strong materials, metal, or thick plastic aren't as important. While you can go wireless, many of the same points made earlier with wireless mice and keyboards, pages 14 and 20, such as battery power, latency, and convenience, still apply. As with other hardware, it's always worth trying out headsets in person before you buy online. Yeah, but the wireless ones, I can, you know, there's a door open down there now, so it's a lot harder to spin. Ow. Be purposeful about your hardware. In the spaces below, write down the name of each piece of hardware and mark each piece of relevant information. Then, for each part, write one or two sentences about why you chose a certain piece of hardware, even if it's just, I don't have money for a better one yet. The goal is to make you reflect on your gear and be as intentional as you can be about what you're using. Now, I apologize, but this is completely blank. So, dear viewers, dear gamers in the audience, try this. Take a screenshot of this page, pop open, sorry, yeah, take a screenshot there, pop open MS Paint, and then fill it out. And once we go through the whole book and you do all of these try this sections, uh, send them to me. Yeah, if you're not, if somehow you're one of the people watching an hour into this video, an hour, and we're 30 pages in. What? Whew. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. But yeah, if you're one of the people watching who's not in my Discord server, doesn't have my Discord information, and you still actually did this and want to send it to me somehow, uh, paste a image link in the comments below. I, I I mean, even if you are on the Discord server, you can do that too, I guess, if that's funnier than DMing it to me or pinging me with it or something. Moving on, page 31. Make sure to arm your battle station. Now, you know, Ninja, I think that is a great idea, personally. This bit is going to take too long to be funny. Not that it would have really been funny in the first, I don't want to hear it from you, okay? I don't want to hear it. But make sure you arm your battle station. This is a good, this is, it's an elegant weapon from a more civilized age. That would, it would help a lot, I think, in, uh, in arming your battle station. Anyways, the page flipped for that bit, so I gotta go back. Ah, yes, arm your battle station. Arm your battle station. Since you're going to be spending a lot of time at your battle station, or any other word for setup, uh, it's important to make it as ergonomic as possible. This means designing an environment that helps you assume an optimal posture at all times. By posture, I mean the arrangement of your body in relation to the positions and movements you do throughout the day. That might sound obvious, but it's tougher than it seems. Try taking a short video of yourself while you play. Do you look comfortable? Is your back straight? Or are you hunched over your keyboard? Yeah, do that, chat. Yeah, do that. Your equipment is an important part of the ergonomic puzzle. You don't want to have to stretch for your mouse or keyboard. For example, if you're doing that, you're not going to be able to play your best, which is what it's all about, other than the game. But the game, playing your best, playing the game your best. It's about that, which means it's about the game. You get it. You'll also tire yourself out faster and maybe even put yourself at risk of injury. Nobody wants to be hurt while gaming. It's like the worst thing ever. Being intentional about where you place your peripherals goes a long way toward helping you sit in a healthy way. Doing it right will help you play longer and better. And now we've got a Ninja's Way segment, chat. Let's get some hype. Woo! There's some movement out there. What's in my battle station? I update my hardware every few months, but here's what I'm playing on right now. It easily runs Fortnite at 180 frames per second. Jealous? Wink emoticon. Uh, I'm not gonna read this out because it's gonna sound like I'm a robot, but there's his specs right there. Gaming. Yeah, just in case you needed to know Ninja specs from 2017 or whenever this book came out. Yeah, it's yeah, something like that. 2019 maybe. I've just had it for so long, you know, timeless, really. How to build a comfortable setup. Let's take a moment to think about something that's directly connected to your setup. Ergonomics. The science of arranging workplaces to best suit the people who use them. And then here's a black and white picture of Ninja that says monitor height, that says monitor distance, That's desk height, and that's chair height. Funny thing about chair height. Never mind. Oh no, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I know it's impressive, isn't it? It's customizable, just like that. Put your monitor at eye level. When you're sitting upright, your eye level should be roughly equal height with the upper part of your monitor. Your monitor itself should be slightly tilted back and away from you. Position the center of your monitor below horizontal eye level so you limit the amount of strain in your neck. You want to spend most of your time looking slightly down instead of looking up, which is tougher on the body. Not only will this allow you to play for longer without discomfort, it will ultimately be better for your long term gaming health. Hell yeah. Save medkits. Sit one arm's length away from the monitor. To be fair, I'm not doing that right now, but that's because I moved my chair so that I could spin, which I can't even do anymore because yeah. Your monitor should be around one arm's length away from your body, give or take the size of your hand. Once you feel like you have your monitor in a good place, go ahead and adjust all your settings to maximize visibility and readability. Get a desk that accommodates your body. The correct desk height is one that allows you to do all of the above. It needs to be high enough that you can fit your knees under it comfortably, but low enough that your arms are parallel to the ground and they're on your mouse or keyboard. Find the right chair height. The right chair height is one in which your hips and knees are even and your feet are flat on the floor. When your knees and hips aren't even, your lower spine is pushed out of alignment to compensate, which can lead to back pain. Ideally, you'll have an adjustable gaming chair. But if you don't be afraid to sit on a book or cushion. Likewise, your chair's armrest should be roughly the same height as your keyboard. Like in theory. And now his gaming layer. Look at that picture. Look at that. That's his gaming layer. Look at that picture of him that I totally wasn't meaning to show first, but I look at him. Look at his layer. That's what he calls it. His gaming, my gaming layer. Or his wife brings him sandwiches unasked for, topless. After I blew up on Twitch in 2017, so this is like 2019 because I knew that. Jessica and I started looking for a new place for us to live. One of the first things I told her was, when I'm streaming, I don't want to be anywhere but the basement, which tells you a lot about him. For a long time, when we were living in apartments, I would use the spare room or just the corner of another room. But if I could have my setup anywhere, it'd be in a basement. When I lived with my parents, that's where I played. It's where I feel most at home when I'm streaming. So when we toured what is now our current house, we saw this huge open basement, and that's how we knew it would be ours. It was this large open space just for entertainment. There had been some kids living in that house before, and when we looked at it for the first time, there was still a Wii and some random games lying around, but we knew it couldn't just be any streaming room. It had to be mine. I don't know why it's wibbly wobbly. That's what happens. Don't worry about it. Fortunately, Red Bull wanted to help us turn the room into something amazing that would really reflect my brand. So for the first few weeks we were living in the new house, I streamed from another part of the basement while a crew worked on what would become my streaming area. The whole setup ended up being finished while I was at TwitchCon. We didn't know at first if it was going to be ready by the time I got back, but the team from Red Bull managed to get it done about an hour before I arrived. I instantly loved it. My first stream after I returned home was just showing it off. I've got lots of cameras, blue and yellow lighting, a disco ball, a huge television I can analyze the replays on, and of course, a Halo sword and all my awards and trophies. As cool as my streaming layer is, Jessica and I see it as a work in progress. The room is going to grow with us as I keep streaming. But whatever happens to it, it's always going to reflect something about who I am and what I'm trying to achieve. He's even got a Fortnite pickaxe up in the corner. Look at that. Truly incredible. His gaming layer, and that's a lot. That uh helps you game knowing that, I'm sure. Now, it's time. It's time for some interactability with some warm-up exercises, chat. Yay! And it says right here, it's going to say it again later, but it says right here at the top is that the truth is that competitive gaming is a physically demanding activity. And he's right, chat. Physically demanding. Games take a lot of heat for not being active, but the truth is that competitive gaming is a physically demanding activity. Keeping your body in good shape in both big and little ways will help you be the best gamer you can. Oh man. Here are a few sketches that can help. Even with the best ergonomics, gaming can take a toll on your wrists. In the short term, that can lead to tightness and discomfort, which will prevent you from playing your best. Over the years, however, it can lead to nasty problems like carpal tunnel syndrome, the cure for which involves spending a few weeks away from your keyboard. To avoid that, take a minute or two each hour to do a wrist exercise before it starts hurting. Now, for neck pain, we got some for neck pain, We got some mewing, and we got raising your arms up. So, some good old fashioned head spinning. You got that. Not exactly mewing, but it looks like it's almost what it's showing you to do. Kind of weird that that's what you're supposed to do to help your neck. And the classic, the classic, you know, helps your neck out for gaming. Raise the roof. Now for your shoulders, it's going to ask you to do something really difficult that I'm not going to demonstrate because I don't want to get up uh, for any of these. But actually, I could probably do that one. Maybe. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. You guys get it. You guys understand. Going to the corner and doing that. I guess really I don't. Yeah, doing some push-ups. I know that's probably a foreign concept to most of you gamers, but apparently not to Ninja. He's just that good. And that's what he recommends. Uh, and then there's whatever the fuck this is. It's a wall sit, but you you you're doing this. I don't know. Now for sore wrists, let me demonstrate. At least one of them. You get some rubber bands, and you just do this. And that'll help for your sore wrist. And then get some Play-Doh for that one, I guess. Just play with some Play-Doh. That will also help your wrists. Yeah, that, you know. And we're done with the first chapter, folks. You're 1/6 of the way. I don't know why the stretches were part of the gear up. They were. We're 1/6 of the way through. It's time to power up like Goku. It's time to. You see that Dragon Ball in there? You gotta get that shit and yeah. The maybe that's what the gamer stretches were. They were Goku poses actually, and that helps you game. I believe it. But there's a picture of him praising God. I guess I don't know. Oh, powering up. How much I love you. I guess is what he's saying. So yeah, what makes a gamer great? Is it about being the best at one game or all of them? Personally, I'm partial to the latter. You can't be the ultimate gamer if you're just if you're good at one thing. I mean, come on. Sure, you can be the best Fortnite player ever, but as soon as somebody says 1v1 me Minecraft Hypixel Bed Wars duels, you get your ass kicked. You're not a gamer. You're a loser. You're a chump. You're a fool. You got to be diverse. You got to be the ultimate gamer. You got to play everything. I want to be the best in everything I play, and I love taking on a new game and establishing dominance. You heard it here first, folks. Ninja loves to establish his dominance over everyone he games with. I didn't start with Fortnite after all. My career has taken me from Halo to H1Z1 to Apex Legends because I know how to adapt. And the truth is, there are core gaming skills that help you out in every game. Even though all he listed there were shooters, this will help you in every game. Every single one. Stardew Valley? Yeah. Stardew Valley and Fortnite actually have a lot in common. And that's before the Lego stuff. In this chapter I'm gonna try to map oh sorry, there's a picture of him with a keyboard and another guy. The keyboard is the main focus, I guess. I don't really know why, but it's up there. Uh Yeah. In this chapter, I'm going to try to map out what I think are the main components of individual skills in games I love to play. It's not the only possible way of thinking about skill, and maybe you'll make adjustments to it as you improve and learn new things. But it's a starting point. You know, this is where we start. This is level one. Now we level up. This is level one. This helps you level up. This is the guide. This is the tutorial. This is what you find in the box. This is the manual. This helps you level up to move forward. And you should know that I'm going to focus on shooting games because that's what I'm best at. We're not going to get into too much detail about specific games because mastering quick edits in Fortnite isn't going to help you land melee attacks in Halo. And I want this book to be as useful to as many gamers as possible. But shooting games have some basic principles like aim, movement, vision, and communication that are relevant across a lot of different games. Like Stardew Valley, for example. Lots of aim, movement, vision, and communication in that game. So this should help all of you folks, no matter what you play. Dark Souls, um, Slay the Spire, card games. Yeah, this will help. And that's it. Those are all the games. If you master them in one, you're going to have a much easier time transitioning to a new game. Yeah, it's true. So if you get really good at aiming in Fortnite, you're going to be really good at Mario. Um, you can spend the time you save learning what's unique about that specific game. In this chapter, I'm going to start with clear, tangible skills like mechanics, including aim and movement and tactics, that is, decision making and game sense for single player games. Later in the book, I'll talk about team play skills. It's chapter 4. I know you're all excited. As well as some more abstract ideas like your mental state and overall attitude, which is chapter 6. That's where he tells you to grow up, stop being a bitch. Gaming's for everyone. For the sake of writing about them, I've had to put all these skills in isolation for the moment. But remember that skill in practice is holistic and complicated. It's really like a big knot. You can't separate decision making from mechanical skills because if you don't think you have the mechanical skills to pull off a win in a certain fight, then that needs to be part of your thinking process. And obviously, raw game knowledge impacts every part of skill. But even so, if you start to think about skill as a kind of system with lots of moving pieces, you'll start to see how it's more than the sum of its parts. But we still have to start with the parts. Pieces make a whole, you know. It's like how a gaming team, you're just a piece. You're part of your team, and you come together. All these pieces, you come into your gaming community, and you know what you make? A win, a dub, and that's gaming. Now, for building mechanical skills, mm. Mechanical skills are your bread and butter, and they're what transfer between most shooting based games. Good aim is good aim, and good movement is good movement, no matter what shooter you're playing. At the same time, good aim isn't just about mouse accuracy, though mouse accuracy is obviously an important component of mechanics, just like physical conditioning and basketball training helps with dribbling. And gaming, because gaming is a physically demanding sport. Yeah. It's a combination of game knowledge and mouse work and how the two work together. Mastering aim, crosshair placement. Ranged weapons in FPS, first person shooter games, come in one of two types, hit scan or projectile. There's some very complex mathematical stuff going on beneath the surface, but the important thing for you to know is that hit scan means instant travel time and no bullet drop, while projectile weapons usually have a travel time and usually follow an arc rather than go in a straight line. Oh, on the previous page, the guy there, it's apparently Ninja playing Fortnite with Mario Hezonja of the New York Knicks. You know, sports, the Knicks, Fortnite, gaming. It's all about the game. Hit scan isn't all that realistic, but game designers often use it because it feels very smooth and players can easily see the relationship between cause and effect. Wherever your crosshair is will be where your bullet lands. On the other hand, projectile weapons, like the name suggests, have both a travel time and follow an arc. Projectile weapons are a lot more realistic, and so you'll see them in games like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which strive for lifelike accuracy. On the other hand, it makes aiming more skill intensive because you can't just point and shoot. Point and click, boom, bang. Sorry, I have the gun here. Bang! You can't just do that. It's different. It doesn't work. It's not real. Learn what type of aim you need. While aim might be as simple as point and shoot, it's actually a bit more complicated than that. There are different types of aim, and you need to understand which one is appropriate for what circumstances. The two most common types are flick aim and tracking aim. But we'll also talk about pre-shooting. Lots of learning for you FPS guys out there. This will help you a lot. And it'll also even help you in stuff like Minecraft. I guess. I mean they have bows and that's projectile weapon, so yeah, yeah. Understand the weapons in your game. Most games these days have a combination of hit scan and projectile weapons. In Fortnite, for example, everything is hit scan except for sniper rifles, which are projectile. In Apex Legends, on the other hand, everything for now is projectile except for the Havoc assault rifle. That means you need to know the type of gun you're using and plan accordingly. If it's hit scan, then just point and shoot. If it's projectile, aim slightly above whatever you want to hit. The farther the target, the higher above it you need to aim. Likewise, since the bullet's travel time isn't instant, if your target is in motion, you have to shoot where you think they're going to be. Now, here's Here's a chart of hit scan, projectile, and hybrid if you want to take the time to pause and analyze that. Be my guest. It's very important that you know that and you understand the weapons of your game. Now, flick aim lets you get the first shot off. Flick aim, like the name suggests, is a lightning fast reaction where you jerk your cursor toward the target, the flick, and shoot as quickly as possible. Because it's a reaction, you're almost always responding to something when you're using a flick aim rather than trying to pull off a setup shot. Flick aim can be either defensive, flicking at someone who tries to surprise you, or offensive, getting the jump on someone. It's the rapid speed and wrist motion that define flick aim. Since it's a reaction, or even a reflex, flick aim isn't something you think about so much as it is something you just do. You just, and you go bang. Yeah, and miss. Um, that means you have to train your muscle memory until your flick shots are almost subconscious. When I do a flick shot, it's almost pure reflex, which frees up my mind to think about bigger strategic concerns. And there's a hot fix. One of the most common errors I see people make has to do with pre-shooting. Often when a person is heading up over the top of a hill, they'll aim their gun upward because that's where they were aiming while they were walking up the hill. This makes intuitive sense. You want to see where you're going and shoot at anyone who comes over a hill when you're climbing up it. But it means that if you head over the hill and you don't move your cursor, you're going to be aiming up into the air and not where your opponents are on the ground. So try to get into the habit of aiming downward right before you go over the top of a hill rather than right after. That way, if there are any enemies, you'll see them right away and won't have to move your mouse as far to get a clean shot off. And then here's a diagram of flicking, and I guess that's the pre-shooting idea. Use tracking aim to take down a moving target. Tracking aim, by contrast, means you're aiming and shooting at a target over time rather than just flicking at them. Your objective with this kind of aim is to keep your crosshair on top of your opponent or above and ahead of them if you have a projectile weapon for as long as you can in order to get as many accurate shots off as possible. In general, weapons with a high rate of fire, such as submachine guns, SMGs, and assault rifles, are going to emphasize your tracking aim, while ones that have a lower rate of fire, rifles, and some pistols, are usually going to benefit more from flicks. As always, context matters. That's not to say you're never going to flick aim with an SMG, because sometimes you can and should. Likewise, tracking aim can be useful for snipers because you can keep your crosshair on a target while you wait for the right moment to shoot. Knowing which kind of aim is right for the situation is an important part of being a good player. Pre-shooting wins fights against defensive positions. The last main aiming technique is pre-shooting, sometimes called pre-firing, which involves lining up a shot before you actually see your target. You can do this if you know where an opponent is or likely to be. It's easiest to see in the game Counter-Strike, where pre-shooting is an important part of elite play. There are only so many places on a map for opponents to hide, so if you know one of those spots is just around the corner, you can try to line up your crosshair in advance. That way, when you walk around a corner and get eyes on an enemy, you only have to move and shoot rather than move, aim, and shoot. This will reduce the time an opponent has to react to you, giving you a significant advantage. And guess what? There's another hotfix. It's so lucky. There's two. Let's say you get the jump on an opponent. What's the best way to maximize that advantage? One way is to attack them using what's sometimes called movement aim. The idea is that if you manage to get your crosshair on an opponent before they see you, you can mimic their movements rather than using tracking aim once they react to your attacks. If you can successfully mimic their movement, you'll keep them in your sights without ever having to move your mouse. This won't work in every circumstance, especially against very skilled players who know how to move erratically, but it's one way to reduce the complexity of your attack, making it easier to hit more shots. And very helpful for shooters. I love this page, and you'll love it too. Common gaming myths busted. Before we go into that, give me a second to get a good gulp, a good drink, because this is going to be intense. And also to pause the recording for like a second. Hold on. Ah, yeah, that doesn't really make much sense because I didn't pause it while I started drinking. But let's pretend I did and get into the common gaming myths. Busted. The more you get into gaming, the more you're going to be called upon to talk about, explain, or straight up defend your hobby. We all know gamers are very attacked. The people are against them, very discriminated against the gamers. But uh, but we level up. We survive. We defend. We explain, talk about, and straight up defend. Even now, it happens to me, Ninja, 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 all the time. Not me, Ninja, not me. When I talk to journalists or media personalities, they often ask questions about what kinds of effects video games are having on kids. Unfortunately, those aren't going away anytime soon, so you might as well get used to responding to them. Here are a few of the most common ones and what you can say if someone asks. Violence. Do video games cause violence? Pretty much for as long as video games have been around, people have been blaming them for all sorts of social problems, but nothing has been more consistent than the idea that video games cause violence. Psychologists and media experts have done literally thousands of studies on this and have never found a causal link between video games, and violent behavior. In fact, the American Psychological Association released a statement in 2015 calling on politicians to stop blaming video games for violence. There you have it, folks. Video games don't cause violence. People playing video games, on the other hand. Social isolation. Another common fear is that video games make kids antisocial or prevent them from developing good social skills. But if you've ever watched my stream or played Fortnite for yourself, you know that the opposite is true. Playing and watching games can be very social, and video games are a great way to meet new people or deepen your friendships with people you already know. In fact, one study found that people who identified as gamers were more likely to belong to some kind of social club, like a soccer team or a church group. Games are a great way to make new connections and deepen old ones. Keep that in mind, folks. Gaming can be good. Gaming is great. Gaming, it's all about the game. It's all about the game. Gaming can be good for you, and it is. And uh, you should game. Bad for school. Now, parents love to talk about how video games are bad for school. And sure, if all you ever do is play video games, it's going to impact other parts of your life. But that's true of every activity, and there's nothing uniquely bad about video games when it comes to school. In fact, a lot of good research suggests gaming improves things like eyesight, concentration, and memory. Plus, a lot of the basic ideas behind this book, how to improve, how to be a good teammate, will help you throughout your life, including school. Take notes, kids. And this is a picture of gamers competing at 2018 Red Bull Rise Till Dawn in Chicago. So that's gamers, and that's Ninja, and these are gamers, and that's Ninja. He's a gamer too, but he's Ninja. Yeah, pretty good page. I like that page a lot. It's got some really good points. Busts some really great myths. Master good movements to make great shots. Back to leveling up, of course. The real the real part of this book, of this chapter. Everyone wants to be able to pull off killer headshots right away, but even if you have the best aim in the world, it's no good if you're not in the right place at the right time. Movement might not be the most glamorous gaming skill out there, but spending just a few minutes reviewing the basics of good movement in shooting games can lead to an aha moment that'll pay off down the line. You can boil down movement into one of two types: prepared or hasty. Don't be hasty. You know Treebeard. It's the guy. He's the tree. That's what he says. In a prepared move, you're moving on your own terms and in line with a greater strategy. As this is proactive movement, you should have a good idea of where you're going and why, and what you expect to find along the way. Ideally, we'd all be doing prepared moves all the time, and if you have an effective overall strategy, you'll be focusing on preparing moves most of the time. But the reality is that games are complex, we get taken by surprise, and even the best laid plans run into problems. When that happens, we have to make a hasty move. Here, you won't have all the information, but you have to move anyway, whether it's because you're getting shot at or there's an environmental hazard. Finally, there's the business of staying still. Most of the time, you want to keep moving. If you're exposed, standing still makes you an easy target. But there are other times when it's worth it to stay still, especially in battle royale games. It's often better to lie low and wait for an enemy to come up to you, or for a more powerful group to pass by. Remember that for some games, you may incur a penalty to aim if you're. Oh, uh, yeah. So I don't know what just happened. Uh, yeah. Let's continue reading though. I still have the book, and obviously it's the same day. Everything is exactly the same. Uh, Same sunglasses, same shirt, same me, same hair, whatever. Whatever. Let's just get back into it and help you become a gamer. Now, the only time you should really move when shooting is if you're assaulting someone directly. Obviously. Thank you, Ninja. Just a reminder that, sorry, you can't really see it, but that's the book that we're reading. Uh, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good so far. I think we're 48 pages in. We got a long ways to go, so I hope you're in here for the long ride, long haul. Outplay your yeah, okay, a bit of a outplay your enemies with shoulder peek. Shoulder peeking is a small but important technique. Using your strafe keys, you peek out from behind the wall to gain information or sometimes to get a shot at your own. Sorry, I don't know what's happening. Without exposing yourself to enemy fire. A good peek lasts less than a second, so use that time to figure out where your opponent is and how you might approach them, whether it's a direct attack, rarely a good idea, or trying to flank them, much smarter. Secure a high ground advantage. If you have the high ground, it's just over. It's over for them. You have the high ground. It's over. Anakin, it's over. You have the high ground. Everyone who's played an FPS game knows that having the high ground is a serious advantage because you have the high ground. Then it's over because you're the high ground. But sometimes people struggle to articulate what actually is advantageous about it. The biggest thing is simply information. When you're higher up, you can see more, and that gives you a significant advantage over low ground opponents who have less information than you. Having the high ground also helps with aiming projectile weapons since you're shooting down already. There will be less of an arc to the projectile, making it easier to predict where your bullet is going to go. High ground advantage comes in one or two forms: slope or absolute. A slope advantage just means that someone will have to walk up a hill to get to your position, but you still get all the vision and aiming benefits I just described. With an absolute advantage, though, there's no obvious way for your opponent to get you. That means they either have to run away, or if they're going to attack you, take a predictable path, which means you know where they'll be, giving you a chance to set up an attack. Now, there's actually a hot fix section here to hot fix your gameplay. We love the hot fixes. They're great. Everyone loves them. The best piece of advice I can give to you when it comes to understanding how aiming and mouse sensitivity work together is to start low, then go high. Begin with low sensitivity. Sorry, you can't even like see my hand, can you? Because of this guy. This guy right here. Look at him go. Sorry, I'm not even looking at him. Look at him go. It's awesome. He's just going. It's great. Anyway, yeah. Um, Hotfix. That's where we're at. Yeah. Then whew, begin with low sensitivity settings and get used to them. You'll have to make big movements with your arm instead of just your wrist, but it'll become more intuitive with practice. Once you're really good with that sensitivity, so you can't even see the book. Gosh, I'm sorry. I know you love to see his face when I read this book to you, I'm sure. It's great. It's fantastic, obviously. I mean, why else would you still be here if not to see Ninja's face every few pages and also learn how to become the ultimate gaming ninja master? Yeah. Now that you, oh, once you're really good at that sensitivity, keep playing until you die during a fight because your sensitivity was too low. Now that you know what it feels like for your sensitivity to be a little too low, go ahead and up the sensitivity a little. Repeat until you find you're no longer losing fights because of your sensitivity settings. Yeah, there you go. Hot fixed. Oh boy. Now it's time for standard FPS keybinds. Everyone loves keybinds. They're honestly, that's the best part of gaming. I mean, I can't think of anything more fun. Key bindings refer to your control scheme. What physical keys correspond to what in-game actions? Sorry, it's this cover. It's this one right here. Um, so I'm just trying to figure out like the best. Maybe next to the rat. Yeah, like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah. While there are always some variations from game to game, virtually every first or third person shooter uses WASD as its standard control scheme, or WASD, as the cool kids call it. Remember that movement is a combination of actions by your right and left hand. I moved the wrong hands, just by the way, in case you took that as, like, you couldn't even see me move this one, but in case you took that as, correct, it was wrong. You're dumb. Your left hand on WASD controls your position in digital space through strafing, horizontal movements, and forward-backward movement, while your right hand, your mouse hand, controls what direction you're looking. I mean, obviously, because left-handed people don't exist. So those are the hands you use. No, that's it. Usually, you're going to be using both hands together to get around in three-dimensional space, since you'll be looking in the direction you want to go. But sometimes it's useful to just move with WASD because it allows you to sidestep incoming projectiles without turning away from whatever you're looking at. If you watch a lot of Battle Royale streams, for example, you'll often see good players moving quickly from side to side using A and D while they loot defeated enemies' inventories. This also allows you to run away from an opponent without turning your back to them. And then there's actually some control schemes right here. I'm not going to read them all out to you because I don't feel like saying a bunch of letters and keys and stuff. I'm really bad at augmenting this, but there you go. There's there's that all in great camera quality. So, screenshot that if you need it. Otherwise, I mean, you need it, so screenshot it and send it to me when you do. It's very important that you do that. Otherwise, you'll fail. Now, try this. Here's what good movement looks like. It's going to show you in a book by making notes. Watch a full match of me playing Fortnite. Wow. Oh man, I forgot about that. He really just, yeah. So yeah, watch a full match of Ninja playing Fortnite. You could also watch me play Fortnite right here on this YouTube channel. Not this one. This one down here. Uh, subscribe if I think you should do that, and then watch me and my good buddies play Fortnite with all that we've learned from Ninja after I force them to watch this video that I made that they don't know that I'm making. Hi. Yeah, so watch a full match of me playing Fortnite, either, Ninja himself or me, actually me, and take notes on my movement. How often am I moving on my own terms? Are you making a prepared move? How often am I reacting to something else when I hastily move? For the prepared move, try to figure out what my intention was. For hasty moves, take note not only of what forced me to move, but also how I reacted to the threat and tried to gain control over the situation so that I could start making prepared moves again. Also, ask yourself, what am I looking at when I move? Why? Now, do the same one of your own replays. That's right, play Fortnite. That's what this book is for. It's for Fortnite. You thought this was for all games? Like you said in the beginning. No, it's for Fortnite, idiot. If your game has a replay, oh, never mind. It doesn't say Fortnite. Sorry. Yeah, that's my bad. Sorry. Yeah, do the same for one of your replays of whatever shooter you play. I mean, you could watch your replay for, I guess it might apply to other things, but like Pokemon. Watch your movement in Pokemon. It's very important actually in that game. If your game is a replay function, or if you're making video recordings of your own games, see pages 112 to 115. Oh boy, try to figure out what you intended each prepared move to do. Explain it out loud to yourself or write it down. And for hasty moves, figure out whatever made you move was avoidable, if it was avoidable. So there's some notes there. It's obviously empty because yeah, I already explained that. Now, this picture, I love this page. This page is fantastic. I mean, look at that. He is focused. So I'm going to move it all around. Yeah. Um, just look at him. Look at him go. Look at him game. Wow. Truly, this is what peak performance looks like. Clearly. I mean, I can't think of anything else. Now for settings of strategy. Sorry, let me lean back for this one, get a little bit more comfortable. Anyway, in-game settings are another place to build an incremental advantage. Don't just try to max out your video settings or stick with the default ones. Take a few moments to consider the possibilities. Lowering the resolution. If you have a 1080p monitor, that's 1920 by 1080 pixels. Math. One thing you can try is telling the game to output video at a lower setting than that, which the monitor will then stretch to fit the screen. First, the pros. The lower resolution means that everything will look a little bit closer, which will make enemies easier to spot and, depending on the game, maybe even give them slightly larger hitboxes. Plus, you'll get a nice boost in frames per second. That's especially useful if you're still working on improving your aim. There are some cons though. Beyond making everything on screen a little less appealing to look at, the stretched resolution means that your field of view is going to suffer, meaning that you'll see less of your environment at once. As a result, you'll need to strategize accordingly. The reduced FOV matters more in some games than others, so think carefully about whether or not you want to play with stretched resolution. Yeah, stretched res is really, it's great. Yeah, do it. Yeah. Certain games have actually banned using stretched res. There's like a piece of hair that's like right around here. There's like one. You can't see it, but it's very aggravating. That's why I keep doing that. But I keep looking at the camera to do it, so I was swiping the wrong way. It's a mess. Now tweaking the graphical settings. This is very game specific. If you're playing just for fun, you probably like to turn up the graphic settings in your game as high as they can go, or at least as much as your computer can handle. But these settings are an important decision in their own right. They can have a serious effect on in-game actions. For instance, in Fortnite, if you turn the grass off, it may help you spot enemies in the grass more easily. Likewise, serious StarCraft 2 players often fiddle with their settings to make sure invisible units are easier to spot, or the screen stays clear of dead units. Death animations and persistent corpses look cool, but they add a lot of clutter to the screen and can be visually distracting, and keep you from seeing what units are still alive, either yours or your opponent's. Ultimately, frames per second comes first. If you're dropping frames, you're going to be at a serious disadvantage against an opponent who isn't. But these kinds of tweaks can help create small edges over your opponents that you can exploit. Always take a moment to see what the pros are doing. If everyone seems to be using the same setting for something, that's a surefire sign they have a reason for doing so. If you can't tell what that reason is, look it up or just ask. Me personally, I crank everything all the way up because that's a lot of work, man. I mean, that's I just want to see the funny. It just looks great. I mean, you probably don't think that from some of my videos and the quality that they're in, but that's on my computer, not the settings my game is on. Obviously, don't worry about it. Now it's time for decision making. It's a very important skill just to have in general, honestly, to be good at making decisions. So in shooting games, you're always making decisions whether you realize it or not, where your gun is pointed, how you're moving, and why. There's plenty to consider in every second of the game. I talked about some of these in the last sections, but here are other critical decision points for shooters. Anticipate fighting. Just as there are hasty and prepared fights, there are also fights we're ready for and fights we're not. In a perfect world, we'd always enter fights on our own terms. So, great players are going to do everything they can to move fights from the hasty column to the prepared column. This means knowing the map, where the hot spots for fights are, for example, and knowing your opponent. If you have a good sense of when a fight is going to go down, you can make the decisions you need to put it on your terms. Remember, if you're going into a fair fight, then you haven't been preparing enough to give yourself an advantage. Yeah, bitch. Fair fights are for fucking losers. If you're not going into a fight that you know you could probably win, what are you doing? You're throwing. You're losing. It's not there's no point. I mean, you have to be ready for everything. Every everything. You have to be prepared. You have to win at all costs. There's no such thing as a fair fight. Honestly, just download some cheats. I mean, if you're really struggling, if you're going to too many fair fights, just I mean, game balance? What even is that, dude? It even says it again right here. Remember, if you're going to a fair fight, then you haven't been preparing enough to give yourself an advantage. Isn't that just something? Isn't that just great? It's like, wow, it's so fun, so gamer. This is the stuff that you need to know. The game. Fair fights suck. Yeah, and you suck. Probably. I don't. I mean, if you're watching this video, yeah, you, yeah. I mean, this is how to be good at gaming. Why would you watch that if you're not already good? I mean, this is how to get better. Turning a losing fight into a win. It's pretty much human nature that if someone thinks they're about to win a fight, they'll drop their guard and go in for the kill. In doing so, they often overextend themselves, creating an opportunity for a counterattack. This happens all the time in games. If you're retreating from a fight, chances are that your opponent is coming after you because they think they've already won. Their greed creates opportunities for you. While retreating is sometimes the right call, always look for opportunities to re engage at your own terms. You'd be surprised at how often you can turn a losing fight into an even one, which, even fight, fair fight, whatever, you shouldn't even be trying. Uh, or even an outright win. Now that's what you want. That's what all the gamers want. They want wins. They want nothing but wins. That's how you win. That's how you get the games. That's how you game. It's all about the game. It's winning. Oh man. Oh, we got a lot of good stuff on these 2 pages here. Whew. All right. Now developing game sense. Now, game sense is very important. There's even a ninja's way. There's a whole part where he describes how he won a video game. It's awesome. There's even a picture of him. You'll see it in a second. Now, people act like game sense, the ability to know what's happening or about to happen in a game, is mysterious. And maybe some people just naturally have better game sense than others. So, I mean, you could just be shit at games all the time, and yeah, it just sucks. Just, yeah, rough, buddy. But the best way to get game sense is to practice and take notes like a nerd. The more you've seen, the easier it is to guess what's going to happen next. Just like training flick aim can become muscle memory, building game sense can transform predictions you have to think about intuitions you just feel. And it says that again right there as well, which is very, very helpful. Just I guess if you're like jumping through the book and you don't want to read all of his incredible words. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. Now it's time for Ninja's Way. It's another direct. I don't know what makes this different from the rest of the book of him saying things, but He's also saying things here, I guess is more personal. I don't know. Ninja's way. Now, my game sense. Game sense can be a little abstract, so let me give you an example of what it feels like. Let's say I'm playing Fortnite. I glide into Retail Row from the south. I see two people fighting, so I know there are people in front of me. I hear a snipe to my right. I know there's now someone to my east in addition to the two to my north. The zone's moving in. I'm not safe. So I know I've got to run in 30 seconds, and I just entered a build fight with the survivor from the fight that was in front of me. So I've got an internal clock. I know how quickly I either need to defeat this person and move out or disengage now, while also making sure that I stay out of the line of fire from the sniper to the east and or wall off that angle of attack during the build fight. Game sense means holding all that in your mind at once and letting it shape your decision making as you play. See that? So obviously you got what it feels like, right? You understand now. Game sense, the whole thing. That's all there is on game sense. We got a whole other section next, and yeah, it's great. Honestly, it's going to be fantastic. Now let's hear about Ninja's biggest win. There's the picture of him. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Look at that. And it actually is, there's a description. Taking in the victory of the 2017 Halo Championship Series in Las Vegas. So it's not actually Fortnite. It's crazy. I guess it probably comes as a big surprise to you viewers out there. But the first major tournament I ever won was MLG Fall Championship 2012. Back when I was playing Halo for the Team Warriors. Obviously, that meant a lot to me, but the one that really sticks with me the most was the H1Z1 Invitational at TwitchCon 2015, which was the first major event I won on my own. So this picture isn't even from the event that he describes. Back then, I was having modest success as a streamer, but nothing like today. I was still really trying to make a name for myself on my own, so I was super nervous going into the competition, even though I'd practiced like 14 hours a day in the weeks leading up to it. I'd never been in a real Battle Royale tournament before, and I didn't know what to expect. When the game started, I was terrified I'd be knocked out early until I found my guns in a vehicle. Then I calmed down, took stock of what was going on, tried to play my game as best as I could. Once I got a kill, I allowed myself to start thinking that I could win it all if I played smart. I did, and I won. The winning moment is still up on my Instagram. I ripped my headset off and jumped up yelling something I can't put in the book. Pure joy. Winning $20,000 was nice, of course, but the feeling was priceless. All the practice was worth it. 100%. All that practice playing video games 14 hours a day. God, oh man, sounds terrible. Now, that's how he ends the section. What was it even called? Obviously it's the same day. I just have really bad memories, guys. I swear. I swear, Aziz. Power up. That's how he ends Power Up by flaunting his big win. I guess. I don't know. It's time to level up. I'm about to level up, and you look like just enough XP. All right. So you want to be a professional gamer? Then get ready to work for it. If playing video games for a living were easy, everyone would do it. Fortunately, I picked up some tricks along the way that you can use to accelerate the process of becoming the best player you can be. If the last chapter was about what makes a good player, this one is about how to become one. Which is the whole. The truth is, getting better at video games isn't all that much different from getting better at anything. It takes practice, obviously, but it also takes intention, patience, and planning. Just playing isn't practice, so it won't get you the results you want. So what will? Thinking instrumentally. You keep thinking I'm going to take them off, but I'm not. In the first chapter, I encourage you to take a step back and be intentional about all your hardware choices. This chapter is all about being intentional with how you approach practice, which is not the same as playing. It's how you turn playing into something more. We're going to take stock of all the techniques you have to pull that off and figure out how to put them to the best use. That means we're going to be thinking instrumentally. I want you to look at your own practice habits and rationally evaluate what you could be doing better. The hard truth is that the work of improving isn't always fun, or at least it's less fun than logging on for a few rounds with your friends. But champions win by creating and exploiting You can only win with exploits. Incremental advantages. If you want to be the best, that's what you've got to learn. On their own, a lot of the things I'll describe can sound trivial, but put them all together, and it's the difference between being a good player and a great one. Now let's get started with the 4 pillars, circles of improvement. You couldn't have just made them like rectangles. I feel like, I mean, if you're gonna call them pillars, right? And whatever, minor nitpick. Sorry, Ninja. Um, my mistake. Ultimate Gamer, Lord Ninja Master. Now, the 4 pillars of improvement: knowledge, raw knowledge about your game, numbers, locations, names. Still mainly sounds like Fortnite, but you know. Mechanics, the fundamentals, aim, movement, mouse accuracy. Tactics, game specific actions, edits, combos, slick moves. Again, also, I mean, the combos isn't Fortnite, but the other, I mean, strategy, higher level thinking, game plan decision making, the big picture. Yeah, think about the big picture when you game. It helps you a lot, actually. Then you got to know why you want to get better. This might sound like a silly question, but before we get into the weeds, it's worth asking yourself why you want to be great at games. Is it to show off to your friends? To try to win some money or get famous? Because someone told you couldn't and you want to prove them wrong? Or simply because you enjoy the feeling of mastery? Ultimately, there aren't right or wrong answers here. I think everyone should be free to play games for whatever reason they want. But when it comes to competitive gaming, some reasons for improving are better than others. Talk to any professional gamer and you'll be amazed at how few of them cared about getting rich or famous, at least at first. Great gamers are built upon their love for the games they play, and it's just as important to always keep that in mind. Just like musicians want to express themselves through their instruments, great gamers express themselves through competition by exploring their games, pushing their limits, and discovering something about themselves in the process. Gaming has taught me so much about myself, and it can do that for you too, if you let it. Just look at this. Look at him go. It's great. It's awesome. I'm very glad that he's there. And he's been there the whole time. The whole time. Now we got a ninja, another Ninja's Way section. Let's go. Clap it up. Yep. Woo! Discover your competitive instinct. Every competitor has a moment they stop playing just for fun. I was 12 years old and I wanted to be better than my brothers at Halo 1. And then Halo 2 was when my competitive urge really kicked in. The ranking system came out and I wanted to rank higher than my brothers, so we would always play for fun. Then they weren't home, I'd play without them and improve my ranking. Then we'd play together again, and they'd get crushed. At that point, I was like, all right, I'm better than them. I don't like losing. I'm going to keep playing my own game. And that's how I got started. And now he's here, where you see him now, on a book that he wrote about gaming. Now let's find out what skill is made of. There's a lot that goes into playing well, and if we're going to split it up into manageable parts, we're going to need to map out what skill looks like. Again, this isn't definitive. Another professional gamer might split it up differently, but it's a tool to get us thinking about all the things that go into making a great gamer so that we can start to isolate specific areas for improvement. Acquire raw knowledge, not that cooked garbage, you need it raw. How much damage does each weapon cost? What's the damage spread? Projectile speed? How many bullets are in a clip? Where are certain power-ups, beneficial objects, or abilities located? How much mana or any other resource does a particular ability use? What's its range? How long does it take to walk, run, ride, or fly from one point to another? Obviously, there's a lot to learn about any given game. Watch any professional gamer on Twitch, and chances are you'll catch them learning something new about their game. But as intimidating as the task is, mastering this information is a crucial part in becoming the best player you can be. Challenge yourself to know everything you can know, because every bit of knowledge you have that your opponent doesn't is an opportunity to create and exploit an advantage. Siegel, one of the most famous players in Overwatch, once told Rolling Stone a story about how he started preparing for the game even before he had access to the beta. I made spreadsheets of all the damage numbers I could find, he said. I wrote strategies for maps I hadn't even played by looking at 3 to 4 minute gameplay previews on Blizzard's YouTube channel. I tried to track the internal balance patches to see how the designers viewed the game and what direction they wanted to take it. I wrote 10,000 words on Overwatch before I touched it. That work put Siegel at the front of the Overwatch scene when it launched. Are you willing to do the same for your game? Because if you're not, go home. I mean, that doesn't sound insane at all to me. That sounds like something all of you should do, which is why you should try this. How much do you really know about your game? I mean, by now you've obviously already picked like a game that you guys play, right? For these questions, for everything Ninja's telling you, I mean, you've been thinking about one specific game, right? This you should have been doing that, just so you know. I mean, if you're not, just go start over all the way at the beginning. Now, without looking, it's a blind challenge. Write down as many weapons or heroes from your game as you can, as well as their relevant attributes, damage, clip size, stats, abilities. I promise, it's harder than you think. Doing so will give you a sense of what you still need to learn. Now, I think without looking, he means without looking it up. But if you like write this down, I mean, I can hold this up if you want to take a screenshot, right, and like print it out or something, which would be insane if somebody did that. I mean, you could also just write on a lined piece of paper. But if you could like close your eyes and then choose a game and then write as much as you can on this piece of paper and then send it to me, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be fantastic. So here, just in case, I mean, nobody, I know none of you are actually gonna print it out, but just in case you want to see. Sorry, that's a horrible. It's hard to see behind the book, you know. There you go. Oh no. There you go. You get my fingers in there too. Why not? But before we go on to the next page, there's a hot fix. Which I mean, everybody loves hot fixes. At some point, you've got to identify some specific skills and try to target them, just like a soccer coach might instruct their players to do a corner kick drill in practice. You should try to break the game down into specific skills and try to find ways to practice them. But there's a dark side to repetition. Use, oh no, use practice to reinforce only good habits. Bad habits will have to be unlearned and then relearned, creating more work for you to do down the line. That's why it's so important to isolate the skill you want to work on and then review. Oh, you got a lot on this page. This is a big look at all that. Look at there's so much on that page. That's great. We even got a ninja's way, which is what we're going to start with because it's right here. Countering your opponent's strategy, just like rock paper scissors. Pretty much. Let's play rock paper right now. Right now, let's go. Are you ready? You ready? Yeah. Anyways, um, pretty much every well-designed video game makes space for counters against whatever the most powerful strategies are. Just as rock beats scissors, a counter simply means that a certain item, ability, tactic, or strategy will disrupt another strategy, reducing its effectiveness. If you want to be a top player, you need to have this knowledge down. It's very important. It's very important. So you can see the both covers now. I mean, not yeah. You know, what if I just read it like this? That'd be better. You wouldn't have to see me. You can just see the ninja. Yeah, I'm not reading it like that. Sorry. Where was I? Knowing how to recognize your opponent's strategy and use an effective counter is an essential part of a good player's skill set. Good in-game analysts, often distinguish between hard and soft counters. Hard counters deliberately and completely shut down one or more parts of your opponent's game plan. For example, in Dota 2, the butterfly item gives its user the ability to evade a percentage of attacks, but is hard countered by Monkey King Bar, which ignores evasion, rendering butterfly almost useless. Soft counters negatively impact an opponent's strategy and tip the odds in your favor, but don't necessarily guarantee a victory on their own. If you're playing Overwatch, you can pick defensive heroes to delay an enemy push, but you still have to execute well to get the W. You got to practice your mechanics and physical skills. Remember those physical exercises that we did back there? You got to practice these. You got to get good at those before you can get good at gaming. I mean, those are very, very important. Just like dribbling in basketball or soccer, there's some gaming skills that are given to in a great player. So you need to practice these building blocks until they're basically second nature to you. Do you think LeBron James thinks about dribbling when he's on the court? Of course not. You're going to be the LeBron James of gaming after this book, after this video of the book. Of course not, but he manages to dribble nearly perfectly every game. Pulling that off takes muscle memory, which can only come from practice. Help you avoid silly mistakes, but more important, it'll free up your mental energy to focus on other higher order tasks we'll talk about in the next few pages. Mechanics include mouse control, left right hand coordination, eye movement, and their corresponding in-game actions like aim, movement, and camera control. Simply put, these are second nature to me, and I can trust that. If an enemy's on screen, I'm going to be able to quickly and accurately get my cursor over them. Obviously, different games have different mechanics. Good movement in shooters won't help you much in League of Legends, but they're still pretty consistent within genres, which is why I was able to transition from Halo to H1Z1 to Fortnite without much trouble. Mouse accuracy, for obvious reasons, is going to help you out no matter what game you play. Just click the heads. Just point and click. Play Hive Swap. That'll help you because you're clicking, you're pointing and clicking. It's very helpful mouse skills. Yeah. Actually, he suggests a different game. Improve mouse skills with Osu. I'm sure many of you are very excited about that. I know how many Osu fans we have in the chat. Several, I'm sure. Now, what's the best way to improve mouse accuracy? Obviously, the more you play, the more comfortable you'll get with understanding how your hand movements match your cursors or crosshairs on screen motion. Still, there's a couple of tools out there that you can use to accelerate the process. A lot of professional gamers use the free rhythm game Osu to train and improve their mouse accuracy, or just to warm up before tournaments. It's basically Dance Dance Revolution for your mouse hand. The music might be obnoxious, and the colors are admittedly pretty annoying. Wow! But it'll train you to click accurately and get your hand motion and mouse clicks in time with each other. Starts easy, but its higher difficulty settings will test just how precise your mouse work can be. Uh, wow. Tactics and strategy. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. That is not a ninja original quote. That is from Sun Tzu in The Art of War, which he quotes in his book about gaming. Sun Tzu's quote is a classic distinction made by military planners, but you'll find that it's also applicable in gaming. Wow, that really just warms my soul. The chart on pages 68 to 69 shows some of the main differences, but the gist of how I think about it is this. Tactics are the actual set of actions you perform to reach a certain goal, while strategy is your overall plan to reach that goal. For example, if you're playing Dota 2, you might have a push strategy, but your actual tactics involve grouping up with your entire team and attacking enemy towers. Tactics and strategy are yin and yang. There's always a bit of overlap between them, and they don't make much sense about each other, but they're a useful tool or without each other. Sorry, they don't make much sense without each other, but they're a useful tool for thinking about your approach to your game. Get your head around tactics. Tactics, unlike mechanics, tend to be game specific. It's a bit reductive, but you can think of it as the place where mechanics and knowledge come together to produce particular actions. As a simple example, let's say I'm playing Fortnite. I'm in a building, and I know there's someone coming up the stairs behind me. A low-risk tactic for me is to drop a trap on the stairs, which will either do a ton of damage or outright eliminate them, or force them to go another way. Both of which can be put to my advantage. Now, a single trap is too local of an action to be a strategy. You probably shouldn't base your entire game plan around traps, but if you can pull it off, I want to see how you do. But it is a combination of knowing what the right tool for the job is and where it should go. Now there's tables here. There's more tables. It's great. It's fantastic. So we got a table with strategy and tactic. You have what, where, when, how. So strategy, what? overall game plan comprised of multiple tactics. That's a strategy. So there you go. Where do you apply the strategy? In the big picture. Sure. When do you apply strategy? They're long or medium term. And how? By planning where to deploy armies to win the war. What? I I feel like we're a little beyond gaming now, but sure, yeah, win the war. Yeah, go. Ninja. Whew. Now, what is a tactic? Tactics are tasks, formulas, and policies for getting stuff done. For gaming, gaming hard. And tactics where they're localized. So just like they're not the big picture, they're local. They're all around you, everywhere. All of these, it's all tactics. Tactics are immediate. That's the when. And how? By running into zigzag to dodge enemy fire. I guess they're like examples of tactics and strategies. I don't know. I don't really know what he means by the how. Those are really confusing. Um Now, strategy for doing the right thing. It's another table. There's effectively and ineffectively, and then effectively and ineffectively again, for strategy and doing the right thing. So effectively doing the right thing and effectively doing things right means you win quickly, obviously. Uh, Ineffective strategy, but effective doing things is you lose quickly. It's a bad plan done well. That's what it says here. Effective strategy, but done ineffectively is you win slowly. I guess it's a good plan done poorly. I feel like you could also very easily lose there if your plan is good but you don't execute it very well. But what do I know? I'm just the messenger. I just read. Now, ineffective strategy and not doing things right means you lose slowly. It's the bad plan done poorly. Um, I guess that makes sense. Sure, yeah, whatever, yeah, sure. Develop a strategy, refine it, repeat. Here's where the high level thinking kicks in. As I talked about in chapter two, reminder, we're only on chapter three of I think six. Um, Strategy is all about putting yourself in the most advantageous position, and by extension, your opponent in the most disadvantageous position possible. If you're in a fair fight, you're not being as strategic as you could be. Reminder, yeah, fair fights suck and you suck for being in them. Remember that attention is a finite resource, just like ammo or health. You want to put most of your thinking into strategy, but you can only do that if you've mastered the lower tiers of skill. For example, when I'm playing a shooting game, I'm not expending mental energy trying to get a headshot. Rather, because I can trust my mechanics, that is, my mouse accuracy and aim, I can spend that mental energy on setting up opportunities for me to get the shot I need. Here's a tip. Your mechanics won't do you any good if you can't set up chances to use them. When you're competing at a high level, it's never enough just to outplay your opponents. You need to outthink them too. That's the art of strategy. Isolate skills. When I was younger, I would rage whenever I got killed by someone better than me. The only thing I understood about getting better was just putting in more practice hours. Now, I have the intelligence to be like, hey, I'm lacking in this area and I'm going to go practice this skill off stream for 30 minutes. Ninja never gets mad on stream. He gets better. He says, hey, I'm lacking in this area and I'm going to go practice this skill off stream for 30 minutes. And there are no clips that dispute that. He does this every time. I learned to isolate skills and practice them, which is one of the most important parts of improving. One of the big challenges, probably the biggest one, of gaming well is that you have to manage all these aspects of skill, knowledge, mechanics, tactics, and strategy at once, in addition to communicating with your teammates if you have any. No one, no one has the ability to improve every single aspect of their play at once. You will, of course, get better in general by playing, but that can only get you so far. Think of all the people you know who've played 2,000 hours of a game and didn't seem to improve at all over their first couple of hundred hours. Repetition isn't just about building muscle memory, it's also about establishing familiarity with a skill. Just as you can instantly recognize when your friend gets a haircut, knowing what something normally looks, feels, or sounds like lets you know when something is different. That principle is very useful in gaming. Let's say you're playing Smash Ultimate. If you play 10 matches with 10 different heroes against 10 different opponents, chances are you are not going to repeat the same scenario more than once. which means it'll be hard to recognize it and learn the best response to it. But if you play 10 matches with one character against one opponent, you reduce the variables in play and you can isolate what's powerful or not about your character. Treat play as practice. If you're serious about getting better, you need to set up a schedule, not just by setting aside a slot of time for dedicated practice, but also having a plan for what to do with that practice time. Warm up, free play drills, replay review, scrimmage. You need to make space for all of it. Set up a practice schedule. Stick to it. You'd be amazed how much your perception of gaming changes when you start taking it seriously. When you give yourself a schedule and stick to it, playing stops feeling like just play. Instead, that time starts to feel purposeful. At that point, you should begin to feel results. And there's just a picture, but Ninja's not in it. It's just a picture of two guys playing video games. I mean, that's cool, but that's crazy that Ninja's not there. Anyway, try this. To skill up, drill down. Pick one game that you want to improve at. You remember that game that we were talking about earlier? It's that one. It's that one. That's the one. You can't. No going back. I mean, unless you want to rewatch the entire video. I mean, go for it. But that's it's all up to you, man. It sounds pretty insane to me. But yeah, so pick one game you want to improve at. Write down as many skills as you can think of for that game. Then pick one skill. Open up your game and play a match with that ability in mind. Devote all your attention to that skill, whatever it is, even to the detriment of other ones. Just for now, obviously. Chances are you won't win because you're deliberately tunnel visioning on one skill. That's okay, because learning, not winning, is the point of this exercise. By repeating this exercise, the skill will become muscle memory, and you won't have to spend as much mental energy on doing it well. As it becomes more natural, you can start focusing on another skill. Repeat the cycle as many times as needed. How long should you practice? Oh, and fill that out too. Actually, do all of that and write it down. Whatever. It actually, I think it would be awesome if you guys had like notebooks. Anybody watching, let's you guys chat, if you will. If you had like a notebook or something, and you actually like wrote these down instead of scanning and printing them out or whatever, that'd be great. Yeah. If you want, I can scan them and then send them, and then you guys can fill them out in like MS Paint and just put text boxes there. That'd be fun. Or just write actually in MS Paint too. That'd be great. Anyway, how long should you practice? Maybe you're tempted to practice 10 hours a day right out of the gate. I like your enthusiasm. Hold on to that. But the truth is that practicing it like it's your job probably isn't going to serve you well at first. If you're really serious about getting better, you need to start slow. Put aside an hour or two a day to practice seriously. You should be prepared to face the possibility that you simply won't enjoy this kind of work. And there's no shame in that. If you don't, it's better to get your feet wet before you dive in, only to discover that you'd rather just play casually. Here's the tip. A good practice session involves playing a match, reviewing it, taking notes, doing a drill, playing another match to see if you can improve on whatever you think your biggest weakness was. See page 74 for a sample session. As a general rule, the better you get, the more you can and should practice. As you grow in skill, you want to spend more time with your game, mastering its intricacies and internalizing its mechanics. Not only will you get better at the game, you'll also get better at practicing the game, accelerating your improvement. So these people that were not ninja on the previous page, there was a pro tennis player, Taylor Fritz, and Kevin Knox of the New York Knicks playing Fortnite in LA while he was in town for the ESPYs, I guess. It's awesome. Shout out sports. We're big into sports here, obviously. Gamers, all gamers, yeah. Anyway, here's Ninja's Way. My ideal practice partners, because I mostly played team shooters, I didn't have a lot of one-on-one practice partners. That's more of a thing for 1v1, 1 versus 1 games like StarCraft or Smash Bros, or things like practicing a lane matchup in MOBAs. But we still had teams we'd play against, and the idea is pretty similar. You have to find the person or team who's your kryptonite. Who are you losing to? Play against them over and over and over and over again. I always try to get the person on or team who you're like, I don't understand why they do what they do. I think about Hungrybox in Smash. In my opinion, he'd be the greatest practice partner in Smash Melee because everyone hates his playstyle. He sucks to play against, but that makes him an amazing player to learn how to play against. Mango, on the other hand, is one of the best players in the game, but he's also super random. He's a wild card, and do you really want to practice against someone who is so inconsistent? Even he doesn't know what he's going to do when he starts a game. He just goes crazy. He's just nuts. Anyway, practice planning, plan practice. Now this one's actually filled out by Ninja, so I can't send you a blank one, but you can write this down. It's fine. If you've ever been to a sports practice, you know that good coaches don't have you scrimmage the whole time. They're going to divide up the time effectively and build the kind of teaching strategy in which the practice builds on itself. It's a good model for thinking about your practice, too. Start with the little skills, work up to something bigger, then take a second to reflect on what you've learned. You can use the basic formula below for practice sessions that last anywhere from 1 to a few hours, depending on how long each practice game is or how much time you have. Warm up. So play a match, have fun, but use it to get into your practice headspace. Remember, you're not just playing, you're working too. And take a minute or two to stretch. See page 36. You'll be glad you did. That's right. Go back. Yep. Scrimmage. And go back in the video actually and do those. Do those. If this is for some reason 2 videos, go to the other video. Go back there. Yeah, I'm sorry if it's 2 videos. That'd be crazy if it was. There'd be no reason why or anything. It'd be really weird. But yeah. Now, scrimmage. Now, play a real game. Try to keep whatever skill you were practicing in the front of your mind. No matter what happens, devote time and mental energy to doing that skill as well as you can so you see how it translates to real games. Oh, I was supposed to read skills first. My bad. So, yeah, skills. Identify a skill you need. It's not really, it's weird that it goes like that, but I guess that makes sense. Identify a skill you need to get better at movement, aim, building, etc. Ideally, something you know you're struggling with from past review sessions. Figure out how to isolate it or do some drills using an online aiming tool. There are plenty out there, so just Google until you find one you like. Repeat the drill until you start to see what you're doing well and where you can improve. Write that down. Now, replay. Whether you won or lost, take a second to review the match if you can. See page 51. Can you say with certainty why you won or why you lost? What are the areas for improvement? Be sure to write these down. Not only will you better commit them to memory, but they're also a useful resource for thinking about what you're going to target in your next practice session. Adjust how much time you spend on each session according to your needs. It doesn't have to be perfectly even. When you take practice seriously, you'll be amazed at how quickly you start seeing its effects in real games. Don't risk burnout. There's a limit to how much practice pays off. Good practice is hard work. Your mind will get tired and you'll also risk burning yourself out. Ultimately, a lot of research shows that you really stop benefiting from additional practice after about 6 hours a day. So until you're a professional, consider that your hard limit. You can play more than that if you want, stream, goof off, play casual matches, and so on. But know that the chances that you're going to get more than 6 hours of good practice out of one day is pretty low. Find practice partners. One of the fastest ways to improve your skill is to get a practice partner. There are plenty of benefits to practicing with someone. One is accountability. When I'm practicing on my own, there's no one but me to stop me from goofing around. If you have a practice partner, though, you've got someone to hold you accountable and keep you on task. Likewise, with a practice partner, you can specify what skills you want to work on. Maybe you want to master a certain area of the map, get better at a specific matchup, or focus on a certain tactic. Like playing catch with a friend, practicing with or against someone is a great way to work on your fundamentals in a somewhat more controlled environment. Find like minded gamers. Find more gamers. Build a community. That was something we said earlier, right? Yeah, form a community online. Um, Not all practice partners are created equal. The right practice partner isn't necessarily someone who is much better than you or much worse than you. The practice partner you want is someone who is committed to getting better with you. Someone who also sees practice as more than just playing. Someone who's willing to put improvising skills first. Someone who won't get tilted when they're struggling. It's great if you can find someone in your IRL, in real life, friend group who's serious about a game as you are. For example, both Kevin, PPMD Nanny, and Adam Armanda Lindgren, two of the best retired Smash Bros. Melee players in the world, practiced almost exclusively with their brothers throughout their careers. Of course, that's not always possible. Online forums are a great spot to look for similarly skilled, similarly minded gamers. You can even meet people in game, like players you were matched with and enjoyed talking to. Just remember that it's important to find someone with the same mentality as you. You should avoid toxic players. If someone berates you or another player, just move on. It's not worth spending time with someone who's going to be emotionally exhausting when you're trying to become the best player you can be. Guess what? We got another picture of Ninja. Look at that. Him and his bro, who is cut out of the picture. Never mind. I just have a very warped perspective on the show. Sorry, the hat is very was very confusing to me. I'm just a little dumb. You still can't really see their face, but you know, Ninja's there with his bright blue fucking haircut. Yeah. Higher and lower skill practice partners. Sometimes you'll hear that's he's streaming in pairs with his buddy Gotaga, who even taught him a little French. Wow, good for you, Ninja. He knows a little French. Look at that. Sometimes you'll hear people say that the only way to get better is to play with people better than you. There's some truth to that. If you don't challenge yourself, there's only so much you can improve. Playing against people who are better than you will help you see the parts of your game that you can improve. If you're losing because your opponents are picking you off from behind, then you need to work on your positioning and map awareness. If you're getting into 1v1s but can never manage to eliminate your foe first, you need to work on your aim and reflexes. What's more, a truly excellent and truly generous player might be willing to mentor you, pointing out what you're not doing well and accelerating your rate of improvement. But consider the flip side. It's not enough to know why you're losing. You also want to know why you're winning. Getting the W isn't just a matter of making fewer mistakes, but also recognizing and exploring your opponent's errors to build an incremental advantage. To do that, you also need to play against players who are worse than you. That way, you can see common errors, faulty strategies, and the best way to respond to make sure that you come out on top. Help a player out. When people agree to practice with you, they're doing you a favor, so pay it forward. Every time you ask someone to drill a certain skill with you, you should be prepared to drill whatever they want to work on too. And when you get good, remember that you too were a less skilled player once. Help the new players and show them the tools of the trade. Teaching others isn't just a nice thing to do, it's one of the best ways to make sure you understand things as well as you think you do. Resources for growth. I don't. Is that So this page layout is also it's very strange. Like that has a way bigger font than everything else. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to read first. It's um I guess there's a forward there. It's very strange. Watch replays like you mean it. While it's not as fun as actually playing, watching replays is a key part of getting better. It's very hard to be conscious in the moment of every decision you're making, but remember, when you're gaming, you're always making decisions, even if they're not ones you're aware you're making. Replays are useful for figuring out what you might have done differently or seeing your play with new eyes to assess why you're losing. Now, here's some resources for growth. That's just how I'm reading it. It's really weird. It's really, thank you, Ninja. Even without a practice partner, there are still a lot of resources at your disposal to help identify and work on the things you're struggling with. Make use of Twitch and YouTube. One of the most amazing things about today's internet is the sheer volume of content out there that's designed to help you get better. You're not alone in wanting to get better, and a huge and constantly evolving amount of resources is out there to help you improve. Search for a Fortnite tutorial on YouTube and you'll find countless videos that explore the island, show you where all the best loot spots are, explain various mechanics, and test different weapons. Watching these can save you a ton of time and frustration. Why do work that someone else has already done for you? Just like real practice is never just playing, not all watching is created equal. Some streamers will commentate their gameplay, which is an excellent way to get tips and tricks from people who are more highly skilled than you. But even if a streamer isn't commentating their gameplay, you can still get a lot of knowledge by watching closely. Take notes, write down what they do well and what they don't. Watch streamers of all levels, figure out what kinds of things separate the good from the great, then try to emulate them in your own play. Build skills with free play modes. Now, free play modes are useful because they can let you try out certain skills without the pressure of losing or being reported by your teammates. These days, most games include some kind of free play mode. Dota 2, for example, lets you control everything using console commands, from levels to health to items. Fortnite has its creative mode. What's more, these modes often give you tools to create very specific situations that don't come up very often in real games, but are important to respond to nonetheless. Use that freedom to build your knowledge and skills. Even now, I'll hop into Fortnite's playground mode to practice building skills in a low pressure environment for 30 or 45 minutes before I get on stream. Crazy. He doesn't warm up on stream. Now we got another ninja's way. Learn the way of the ninja. Woo! What I look for in replays. I usually never watch games that I win because you learn a lot more from losing than winning. So if I watch a replay, it'll be because I got smacked and I'll tell myself, all right, I did need to watch what this person did and how they built. Sometimes there's just not much you can do. If I'm playing Halo and I'm playing with randos but get crushed by a professional team, there's not much to say. But if it's a close game, that's where you got to take a step back and watch the replay. Those games are usually decided by one play, and that's what you've got to look for. The play that lost you the game. And you have to watch it right away when it's all fresh in your mind, or else you'll lose the details about how it felt. You'll forget why you did a certain move, like jumping or looking in a certain direction. Maybe you heard a snipe shot. Maybe you thought you heard someone and you thought was coming in. You can't see that in replay, so you need to make sure you remember those details. Guess what, guys? We got another picture of Ninja streaming live at my event Ninja's Night Shift in Warsaw, Poland, where I competed against hundreds of amazing players. And there he is. Look at him. Look at that. What an amazing outfit. Really just great. Thank you, Ninja, for including all of these photos of yourself. They're awesome. Just of you sitting at computers playing video games are great. Very motivational. Speaking of, stay motivated. Getting better consists of two parts, hard work and motivation. If everything I've described here seems exhausting, it's because it is. And if it feels like work, that's because it is. And as with work, it's not always fun to do. If your mentality is just push through, you're going to burn out eventually and forget why you love playing games in the first place. That means staying motivated is at least as important as doing the hard work of improving. Never stop reminding yourself why you want to improve. Plot your progress, save your best games, and look at them when you're discouraged. Remember the compliments you get. Give yourself rewards for hitting milestones. Share your achievements with your friends. The challenge isn't working hard to do hard work, it's finding the motivation to make hard work feel easy. Master that, and I promise there's nothing you can't do. Yeah, so we got another Ninja's Way. How I stay hungry. I know I'm not going to be the best at what I do forever, and I'm always the first to admit when someone is better than me, because it shows that I need to improve some aspect of my game. It's that drive that motivates me, the desire to always be better. Constant improvement in every single aspect of my life. For me, it's literally it. Just competitiveness. If you don't have that hunger to be better than someone, to put in the effort you need to be better than someone, then you're in the wrong line of work. Now, one night in Vegas. So there's Vegas, and you can see him right there. I don't know why I'm moving the book further away. Um, right there. There he is. I mean, he's down below at the actual table too. He's in like 3 times. He's playing Fortnite. Some time ago, one of the guys from Esports Arena flew out to Chicago and met with us to go over the vision for what we'd want to achieve with a ninja themed event in Las Vegas. It was their idea, but we took it from idea to reality together. We really wanted to make it about me as this new kind of gaming celebrity that flew in the face of any kind of negative stereotypes about gamers as sloppy or whatever. So that's what guided the design of the event. I got a carefully cut suit that looked amazing because I wanted to walk on stage dressed to the nines to let everyone know what kind of event we were running. We also had drink service and catering to really round out the night. Jessica actually worked as the host for the Vegas event, so it was amazing to get to do something like that with her. We obviously worked closely together a lot of the time, but it was the first time we'd done anything like that. It was, as far as I know, the first event a streamer ever did on his own. So we really invented something new there. A lot of people think that my stream with Drake was the most concurrent viewers I ever had, but the Vegas event actually beat it out by quite a bit. But for all the hype, when I think about the most memorable moment of that night, I have to admit that, well, it was winning. And it's time to learn how to team up, build your squad. There's another picture of Ninja with Red Bull. Hell yeah. If you're serious about being a competitive gamer, chances are that you're going to play a team game. What that means for you is learning how to be a good teammate, just as important as a skill as being a good individual player. You can be one of the highest individually skilled players in the world, but if you suck to be on a team with, your career isn't going anywhere. That's why this section focuses on making you the best teammate you can be and how working with others can help you achieve goals that you couldn't achieve alone. Let's team up. Hell yeah, Ninja. Everyone wants to be the flashy star player, but the reality of competitive gaming is that you're going to shine only as much as your teammates let you. If you look closely at some of the best gamers in the world, pros like Faker, Arteezy, and Olafmeister, you might realize that they're only able to style on their opponents the way they do because their teammates make them the space they need to shine. That goes for sports and just about anything too. Even Michael Jordan wasn't Michael effing Jordan. That's actually what it says. It says Michael effing Jordan right there, right there. Until he had an elite group of teammates who made it possible for him to play his best. And even if you're practicing a single player game, you're still going to need coaches, practice partners, and analysts. As far as I can tell, the truth is that there are no single player games, no matter what you're playing. You can always do more together than you can on your own. So that page is pulling an all-nighter with pulling an all-nighter will Dr. Lupo. It says will instead of with. There's a typo in the book. At the 2018 Red Bull Rise Till Dawn in Chicago. And above, Dr. Lupo and I pose with the winners Nate Hill and Sore Funk Bomb of Team Exploit at the event. So there's another picture of Ninja with the guys that were just said. Look at that. So many great pictures of Ninja winning. Speaking of Ninja, again, does it tell me who those are? No. What makes a good teammate? In Chapter 2, Power Up, I said we'd come back to team skills. Obviously, your individual skills still matter, as do ideas about strategy and tactics. But there are other skills that are unique to playing on and as a team, like communication and team composition. How to build a good team. The essence of a good team, like any good system, is that it's more than the sum of its parts. That's true both in game and out of it. Truly effective squad isn't necessarily the one with the best players, but the one that uses the players it has to be the greatest impact. Truly greatest impact, sorry. The history of esports is filled with super teams that on paper should have been the best in the world but fell flat on their face when the time to compete arrived. Putting the right team together means knowing as much as what's going on outside of the game as you know about what's happening inside it. Ugh. Look at this guy. Awesome. I don't know why. Yeah, look at him. Look at him right there. Look at him go. Woo! It's awesome. It's great. That's just there, by the way. I mean, it's not even like I could check this out. Woo! Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Hope that actually worked. If that's not even like on the screen in the recording, it's gonna be really awkward a few parts of this video. Hold on. Oh, weird. Anyways, what are we doing? Building a good team, right? I read the knowing is what's happening outside the game is no, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. As you know about what's happening inside it. Bottom line, no matter what game you're playing, your team is a system. Not just a couple people playing video games. That means picking heroes or champions whose abilities synergize effectively, or collecting an arsenal of weapons that complement one another. It's no good going into a gunfight if everyone has the same pistol, it just limits you. Always take a moment to take stock of what your team composition is and think about how it could be more flexible. We got a ninja's way, folks. Rivals, friend or foe. Personally, I try not to think about rivalries because I think it can divide communities. It drives fans apart because it forces them to choose between different streamers. Now, if a rivalry is super friendly, like who can do something positive first or jokes around with me a lot, that's different. Having someone to compete against can help motivate both of you and drive attention on social media, but you have to make sure that it stays lighthearted. Otherwise, you have arch enemies like Blue and that one guy. Uh, Godoy, John, yeah, it's pretty bad. Uh, it could really divide your community. Anyway, strategy and tactics. Remember these? Strategy and tactics don't just matter in individual play; they're a key part of playing, training, and thinking well together. And you remember those? If you not, go back in the video. Plan a team strategy. The World War II General Eisenhower once said, and this is relevant to Fortnite. In preparing for battle, I found these plans are worthless, but planning indispensable. I found that plans are worthless, but planning indispensable. He's right. Whatever your strategy going into a game is, chances are it's going to change, but that doesn't mean your team shouldn't have a strategy going in. If you take a few moments before the game just to define a style of play, defensive, mobile, hyper aggressive, passive, and so on, then you're going to be more organized than would be otherwise. All those strategies can be good or bad in different contexts, but making sure your team has a common idea of what to do in cases where the right play isn't obvious will do wonders for making sure that you're actually playing a team. Just having a shared mindset will make you feel more like a team. That's the quote in the gray right there. The bigger said again. Develop tactics together. One way of thinking about team tactics is as a complex puzzle with a limited number of solutions, some better than others. Team fights are some of the most interesting and complex things a video game can offer because you have to think about so many variables. But good tactics means taking stock of your resources in the situation and identifying the best fix to whatever mess you're in. In general, the best tactics are going to be proactive and force your opponents into making hard decisions where there aren't good solutions. And then here's Ninja celebrating with his old teammates on Luminosity of the 2017 Halo Championship Series, where we tied for fifth place. There they are. Yep, take a good hard look. Communication is a weapon, too. A silent team is a dead team. You need to be constantly communicating with your teammates about what you're seeing and your overall game plan. In a contest between two evenly matched squads, the one with better communication wins. So whether or not you've matched, but that's never going to happen because I mean, if you're going into a fair fight where everything's evenly matched, then you're not doing your best to be better. So this is never going to happen. I mean, if you're following Ninja's way, that is, of course, which of course you are. Anyway, so whether or not you're meshed with randoms or playing with your friends, put your microphone to use as much as a tool as your weapon. If you wield it well, you're going to be in a better position to win. That said, not all communication is created equal. You want to share as much information as you can, but you also don't want to confuse or distract teammates. Communication is a skill, and like all skills, you have to practice it. Stay cool, calm, and collected, and relay the most information you can while trying to keep it simple. See the hot fix on page 143. We're on page 92, by the way. That's in 50 pages. We're going to be here a while. In fact, all the things you don't say are just as important as the things you do say. You need to weigh the importance of what you're saying against the risk of saying anything at all. Your teammates probably don't need to hear that you collected some extra ammo unless, of course, there was an ammo shortage. That's easier in theory than practice. Watch any professional game in person, and there's a good chance you'll see plenty of yelling over one another, even in the most disciplined teams. But it's still something to aspire to. Combos and setups. No matter what game you're playing, you're going to have to work as a team to pull off powerful combos or set up favorable engagements. The term combo originally comes from fighting games, where it refers to a series of perfectly timed actions that make it nearly impossible for an opponent to do much of anything, but it's spread out to pretty much every video game. These days, a combo just means putting together two or more skills so that they would have their own impact than they would on their own. It's 2 plus 2 equals 5, in a sense. A simple example in Overwatch is when Zarya uses her ultimate, which holds enemies in place, and her teammates use an area of effect abilities like Hanzo's ultimate on their trapped opponents. Being able to pull off team combos is a hallmark element of elite play, but it requires a bit of coordination. If a certain combo requires your teammates to use abilities in a certain order, you can plan that order in advance. Alternatively, your shot caller can yell at 3, 2, 1, go if you need to use your abilities simultaneously. Things won't always be that easy in a real match, though, so you might just have to tell your teammates what you're doing in the moment and hope they can respond. Coordinate in advance when you can, and let your teammates know what you're doing when you can't. Adapt, improvise, overcome. It's a little twisted, but yeah. Inevitably, based on what happens in a given match, you're going to need to alter your strategy, tactics, composition, and communication techniques. The role you have at the start of the game might not be the role that you have at the end of the game. While there's always a tension between general game skills and more specific kinds of expertise, when you're on a team, you need to recognize that there will be situations when your commitment to your specific role is dragging down the team. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see in amateur teams, tunnel visioning in your role and missing the bigger picture. Sometimes healers need to become damage dealers. Sometimes aggressive characters need to play defensively. It's all about context. Listen to and trust your teammates because that kind of flexibility and faith in one another is part of what separates good teams from great ones. Here's a good example. Just because you're your team's support player at the beginning of the game doesn't mean you won't ever be a primary damage dealer. A few years ago, Evil Geniuses, then one of the best Dota 2 teams in the world, was playing a long game against one of their rivals. When it became clear early on that this would be a very long game, one of their support players switched from playing their hero in a support role to a damage dealing one. As a result, Evil Genius's hero composition grew in strength as the game went on, and they eventually won because of it. Wow. Hearing the tales of gaming history, it's just, you know, tear to my eye. Sorry if I'm getting emotional. Now we got another Ninjas Away. I'm not going to apologize for being emotional about that. I love Ninjas Away. So, flanking maneuvers. One of my favorite tactics is flanking. Here's how flanking maneuvers work. The problem is that one or more of your team members, maybe you, is pinned down by enemy direct fire. You could try to run at enemies directly, but that's probably not the best solution since they'll be stationary and you won't be able to aim in as well when you rush them. Instead, a better firing solution is having your teammate run around. Here's how it works in action. Guess what? We got a diagram. You can't see it. There it is. Look at that. Flanking. Look at that. Wow. Flanking. Wow. Look at that. Team Tactics 101. Direct fire. Bullets, basically. Bullets. Direct fires are your classic primary gun-based attacks. What's important here is to remember that these always follow a straight or close to line and do damage at a specific point, not say area of effect, which has implications for when it's useful and when it's not. Indirect fire. Everything in your arsenal that isn't a gun, that's your indirect fire. Grenades, airstrikes, whatever. Unlike guns, they don't necessarily follow in a straight line. They might arc or bounce or be user guided. But regardless of their path, they give you different tactical options. Combined arms. Like the name suggests, using combined arms involves both direct and indirect fire to achieve a bigger goal. Simple example is throwing a grenade, indirect fire, to flush out an opponent who can then be shot, direct fire. Concentric fire. Concentric fire means that you have multiple people shooting at the same target. Good players can usually make the right choice when there's only one source of danger, but when there are multiple ones, even the best players can get confused and make hasty mistakes. Suppressive or covering fire. Suppressive fire, sometimes called covering fire, is both tactical and psychological. Not only does it scare opponents and potentially force them into making a hasty decision, it can keep them in place and prevent them from firing while your teammates or you can move around with minimal risk. Pinning pins. Pinning means you've managed to corner your opponent in such a way that there's no way for them to escape without exposing themselves to direct fire. Now, leadership. When you're playing as a team, it's often the case that someone is going to need to take on a leadership role. Call them captains or shot callers. They're the people who you look to for guidance in game when things are crazy. You can probably guess that being a good leader is a skill, but it's also true that being a good follower takes practice as well. Let's consider both. And then there's him posing with Gotaga on the left and Broken on the right while he was in Paris. I really hope that's how I'm saying the French guy's name, or how you're supposed to say it. If it's not, he's French, whatever. How to lead. In team games, it's the shot caller's responsibility to make sure that the team is working together as a unit. Ideally, they make the decisions about when to be aggressive or to be defensive. A great shot caller isn't necessarily the player with the highest individual skill, but the one who sees the big picture. They aren't just focused on getting one kill, which might not actually matter much for the whole game as a whole. Instead, they see how that kill fits within a bigger game plan. They don't just make decisions based on what's happening in front of them, but what's going to happen in 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, or even 10 minutes. Playing a game, 10 minutes, whoo-wee, long ass game, wow. Good shot caller has that kind of expansive game sense. They don't micromanage, they steer the ship and trust the people they're commanding to do their jobs. That said, whatever the benefits, being a shot caller is stressful, just like all leadership positions. It requires responsibility. You have to earn the trust and respect of your teammates, which takes a huge amount of experience and perspective that you build up over hundreds or thousands of hours of playtime. Inevitably, though, you're going to make a bad call at some point, and while it can be tempting to defend whatever choice you made in order to maintain your authority, sticking to a mistake is going to make you look less, not more, legitimate as a leader. Be open minded, not arrogant. Learning to take constructive criticism seriously will help you become the kind of in game leader that your teammates will want to follow. How to follow. It's a common misconception that damage dealers are the in-game leaders. In fact, you'll often find that Slayer run and gun types make better followers than shot callers. That's how it was in Halo, and it's often the case in MOBAs too. That's because your damage dealers are like the tip of a spear. They might have the most firepower, but they have to be wielded by someone else. An effective follower listens to and acts on the order and information they get from their shot caller so as to just make plays whenever they can. And a really effective follower will also say what they're doing so the shot caller can consider that as they continue to survey the battlefield. When you're following orders, it's natural to occasionally doubt whether or not a command you were given was the right one for the situation. And it's totally okay to challenge your shot caller's orders if you really think they missed something. That's how great teams improve together. But you probably want to wait to do so until after a game is over to have that conversation. That way, you'll be a few steps removed from the heat of the moment. You'll be able to look at the replay together if your game allows for that. Sometimes it really is clear that one person was right about a call that didn't work out, but most of the time I find that both the shot caller and whoever's challenging them each have good points based on their different perspectives. Good players will take that to heart and keep it in mind the next time there's a questionable play. Now that bled over onto the next page, but there's actually a hot fix. In battle royale games, getting eyes on an enemy usually means that it's about to go down. If you've got the jump on your opponent, then it'll be a fight in your favor. But if they've got the jump on you, you need to get into cover and reset the fight. Either way, your teammates need to know. When you're playing with other people, your first instinct when you see an opponent is probably to say something like, I see someone over there. You're right to alert your teammates, obviously, but you're not really telling them much useful information. Where is the enemy? Are they coming towards your team or going away? Do they seem aware? Enemy by the fourth tree reveals much more information than I see someone over there, even though it's fewer syllables. Just like you should try to instrumentalize every aspect of your play, you should try to make your communication as intentional and efficient as possible. When you're playing with friends, try to convey as much information in as few words as possible. It'll take conscious effort at first, but eventually it'll become a habit. We got Ninja's Way. Oh wait, oh there was a picture. I forgot. Sorry, it didn't tell me who the fuck this was. So there's Ninja and a guy playing a video game, probably Fortnite. If I were to hazard a guess. Um, yeah, it doesn't actually tell me. So your guess is as good as mine, friends. Ninja's Way, diffusing team tension. Back when I was playing competitive Halo, I got into an argument with my teammate Spartan, aka Tyler Gonza. He thought he had a great strategy, and I thought he was wrong. It got heated, so we took the conversation offline, away from the game. We talked about what we were trying to achieve, which ended up being the same thing by different routes. In the end, we were able to incorporate both our ideas once we saw that each of us had strengths and weaknesses. Wow, it's like something out of a kid's show. To get good teammates, be a good teammate. Hopefully, the last few pages have convinced you that playing well on a team requires a lot of skill. But that's only half the story. You need to also think about how you're going to be a good teammate outside of the game. There's a good chance you already know what this feels like in practice. Think of the chances you are genuinely Think of the people you were genuinely enjoying playing with. Chances are they're good teammates. They don't take their frustration out on others. They know how to take constructive criticism, and they have the same goals as you, whether it's have fun or get better. In short, a good teammate is someone you want to play with. One of the best ways to attract good teammates is to be one yourself. There's another picture here, but I don't think Ninja's in it. I don't know these people. There's people playing games, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Ninja's not there. He is on this page, though. I'll show you in a bit. How to diffuse team tension. Boy, oh boy, problem solving with people. This I'm sure Ninja knows this stuff. If you're on a team of competitive gamers, things are going to get tense at some point. No one likes losing and no one likes to make mistakes, but both are bound to happen when you're trying to be the best. Chances are, when you make a silly mistake or lose an important match, you're going to feel like blaming one of your teammates. They're only human after all. Maybe you think they made a bad call, committed an unforced error, or just aren't taking the game seriously enough. So what then? Nothing kills a team faster than a toxic environment, so when tension arises, I promise you it will, you need to know how to diffuse it as soon as possible. Prevention is best. Try to talk about issues before they build up and become a serious problem. But when a real argument goes down, you can try to deal with it in a few ways. Remember, try to talk out issues before they build up and become a serious problem. Because no one likes serious problems. Now, unserious problems, those are always fun. A self deprecating joke is a quick way to let your teammates know you're not really mad at them, and if they respond with another joke, things will be right back to normal right away. Apologizing has that effect too. Even if you're not certain that you're in the wrong, apologizing and trying to move on is sometimes the most effective thing to do. Remember, being in a team is also about managing relationships, and it means that you sometimes need to do things that you wouldn't otherwise do. Change the subject. When things are tense and don't seem like they're going to get better with an apology or a joke, ask about literally anything else. Tell them something you saw on stream. Ask what else they're playing. Get their heads away from a problem, and you can come back to it when everyone's a little more calm. Or step away. Sometimes there's really nothing to do but log off. It's always okay to say, hey, this isn't productive, let's talk later, and do something else for a while. Good teammates will see the wisdom in that. By the time you get back, whether it's an hour or a day later, everyone will be in a better place to talk through whatever the issues you're facing. Rise till dawn. The Las Vegas event was such a success that we knew we had to do a follow up. Around the time my stream was really starting to take off, so I wanted to do an event that paid homage to my competitive gaming's origins and an all-night LAN parties with your friends. But Red Bull is always looking to do something extreme, and when they came up with the idea for me to do an overnight event at the top of Willis Tower, the second tallest building in the US, I knew we had to do it, because it kind of synthesized where I'd come from and where I was now. That's how Red Bull Rise Till Dawn was born. Fans came from all over the world to take part in the event, which is basically teams of two trying to get as many kills and win as many Fortnite games as possible. In between 8:21 p.m. when the sun went down and 5:35 a.m. when the sun rose over Lake Michigan, my teammates for the night my teammate for the night was Dr. Lupo, which drove home the fact that it was an event all about playing games with your friends and doing things you can never do alone. I'm glad we did it, but the next morning was rough. I didn't think we were going to make it all night. Thanks, Red Bull. When we finished, Jessica and I went back to the hotel. Turns out you can't play video games all night and be functional when you're not a teenager anymore. And there's Ninja. There he is. Look at him. Look at how happy he is. That's a great photo. That's awesome. People should send this picture more. It's really funny. This one's also pretty good. He dedicated a whole two-page spread to it, much like many of the other photos. But wow, look at that. Now it's time to blow up. We made it, guys. Chapter 5. We're almost there. I mean, it's such a shame coming to the end of our journey, but it's okay. This isn't the last chapter. It's just almost. So you've been practicing hard. You're getting good at games, and you're ready to share your skills with the world. I can't blame you. It's hard for me to think of a better career than playing video games for a living. Catches that a lot of other people think that too. Hundreds of thousands of people stream on Twitch every day. How are you going to stand out in that crowded field? How do you even get started with streaming? What are more important milestones to hit? What are some important milestones to hit? In this chapter, I'm going to walk you through what makes a stream great and how you turn private play into public entertainment. Let's get something out of the way now. There are no guarantees in streaming. You can be the most charismatic person and the best player out there, but there's no direct path to becoming a streaming superstar. There's lots you can do to try to build a community, improve your content, and connect with your audience, but we'll talk about that in this chapter. But an element of chance is always present. Take me, for example. I happened to get into Fortnite at the right time, and it meant that I blew up super quickly. If I had been a little earlier or a little later or picked a different game, it's possible you'd be reading someone else's book, not mine. I can't show you how to become the biggest streamer on Twitch, but I can show you how to make the most compelling stream you can. And remember, you don't have to blow up on Twitch for streaming to be worthwhile. Why should you stream? You can meet people. I can't tell you how many new friends I made through Twitch. Streaming video games has connected me with amazing and passionate people around the world, like Tim, the Tat Man, Dr. Lupo, and basically I do work. I've been a guest on their streams and they've been guests on mine. Gaming is better with friends, and streaming is a great way to share your friendship with the world. Show friends what you're up to. While playing video games usually gets all the attention, people have been watching one another play video games as long as they've been around. These days, streaming is a great way to share your passions with the world or even just your friends. Whether you're trying out a new game for the first time or showing off your skills with one you finally mastered, streaming gives you a new way to connect with your friends. At its best, it can really feel like your friends are in the room beside you, cheering you on, or maybe just taunting you a little. We all have that friend. Seeing one of my friends in chat and knowing they're supporting me and doing what I love is an incredible feeling. Accountability. If you're trying to improve, having a scheduled streaming time is one way to help structure your time effectively. If you know there's someone waiting to watch you play, then it's a lot harder to let them down, which means you won't be letting yourself down either. What's more, your audience can be your biggest critic, but in a good way. Even if you've got only a couple dozen viewers, that's still a couple dozen sets of eyeballs keeping an eye on your gameplay. They'll see mistakes, things you miss, and if you ask them, they'll let you know. Sometimes they might even know something you don't. Never let a resource go to waste. Make a little money. Of all the reasons to stream on Twitch or wherever, this is one of the least important. Chances are, if your metric for success on Twitch is getting rich, you're going to end up being disappointed. You can, of course, make money on Twitch from ads, donations, subscriptions, sponsors, and channel games, but very few people earn enough to make full time streaming viable. They certainly don't do it right away. It took me years to get my audience where it is today, and even now, there are no guarantees. Games come and go, audiences change their minds, advertising rates go up and down, and life beyond your stream can throw you curveballs too. So making money shouldn't be your goal when you start. It's something you work up to over a long time, and you have to accept that even if you do something right, you might never even make enough to be a full-time streamer. What's a lot more likely is that you'll get a dollar here and there from a generous viewer, and you take pleasure in knowing you've given them something that's worth it to them. That's a gift in itself. And we've got a ninja's way, folks, about streaming. Streaming is networking. No streamer is an island. I'm lucky to be surrounded by some of the coolest, most passionate people I know, and I owe as much of my stream success to them as anything I've done myself. Streaming is networking, and over time, you'll build up a network of friends on Twitch who can help make your content better than you could by yourself. Now, just wait a second. Wait. How popular is Twitch? As of 2018, Twitch is one of the most popular websites on the entire internet. On any given day, more people watch Twitch than CNN. 560 billion minutes watched, 3.7 million broadcasters a month, 1.3 million average viewers at once, 220,000 Twitch affiliates, 56,000 average live channels, 27,000 Twitch partners. You can always look up the most current information at twitchtracker.com/statistics. And there's another picture of Ninja. Just for you. I don't know why this page is here. To tell you, yeah, Twitch is pretty cool, guys. I guess, but yeah, there it is. What do I need to stream? Your hardware. Just like gaming has its own gear, there are a couple of things you'll need to get started with streaming. Inevitably, the hardware we have for streaming is going to change and improve over the next few years. There's no use in listing specific products here since they'll soon go out of date. But I can say a few general words about the technology behind streaming. Truth is, streaming can be tough on a computer, especially if you're playing a graphically intensive game. If your computer is already struggling with graphically intensive games, there's no way it's going to be able to handle playing and streaming, which requires your video card to capture, encode, and upload a live feed of your gameplay to your streaming service. That means the better your hardware, the better your stream. Bare bones setup. If you've got a gaming computer, there's a good chance you'll be able to make a respectable stream without any additional investments. Nothing especially fancy about the setup, and there are some obvious limitations. You won't be able to stream any game at 60 frames per second at 1080p, the gold standard as of 2019, but expect a lot more 4K streams soon. And your audio probably isn't going to be as sharp as what you'd see on professionals' channels, but your viewers will be able to see, hear, and understand you. It's a nice way to get started with streaming and build your skills and on-air personality without having to invest too much into the hardware. Bare bones setup, a gaming PC with a 510 GPU, a USB 3.0 cable, a web camera with a mic, an Ethernet cable, a router, a monitor, and the intermediate setup is the gaming PC or console, a DVI, a Y adapter, a router, internet, HDMI, composite streaming PC, capture card, headphone to line in, headphone. Basically two computers for that. Here, I mean, me just saying things doesn't really mean anything. So there's the intermediate one with all the two computers, all the stuff, and there's the bare bones. There's the one, yeah. So one, yeah. And now an intermediate setup. When you're ready to take streaming a little more seriously, it's time to enter the land of serious hobbyists. The big difference in this setup is we're no longer relying on a single computer to do everything. Instead, we're distributing some of that responsibility to other pieces of hardware, some of which is built with streaming in mind. Most obviously, that means you'll have a separate PC for streaming with a capture card that's linked to your gaming PC. That in itself takes a huge amount of pressure off your gaming PC, and it lets you keep an eye on your stream with a second monitor. That also means starting to invest in some dedicated hardware, leaving the webcam's microphone behind and getting a real USB microphone, maybe even a dedicated DSLR, which is a digital single lens reflex camera in video mode, which will let you set up different angles and massively increase your quality for your video. For 95% of streamers, this is all you'll ever need. Now, the ultimate creation workstation. This setup is absolutely overkill for streaming on Twitch, but I have to admit it's a lot of fun to look at just how complicated a setup can get for the most demanding users. The idea behind this system is maximum redundancy and flexibility. Gives you complete control over different camera views um, in-game and out of it, ensures that there's never a hiccup during encoding or uploading, and backs almost everything up because the show must go on. In practice, this is the kind of content creation system used only by full-time high-end video producers who do much more than just streaming. Sorry, there's like it cuts off there, but there's a page there, there's two pages there, and then it continues on the back of like a page one, two, three, like 4 pages later. It's insane. Now, internet. You can probably guess that having faster internet, especially your upload bandwidth, it's going to make your stream better. Obviously, the more data you're putting out, the more bandwidth you're going to need. But unless you have a really serious streaming setup, you'll just want to set your streaming output for 30 frames per second. That means your resolution is the main thing you should consider when you're trying to figure out what your bandwidth can reasonably handle. And then there's a bunch of nerd shit that I'm not going to read out loud, but I will show you because it's here. Then there's the Ultimate Content Creation Workstation, which also has a lot of nerd shit I'm not going to read out loud because it is a lot of numbers and letters and whatever bullshit, but I will show it. So there's the HD broadcast, SD broadcast, whatever. That's what he was talking about before. And then there's the fucking, yeah, there's the Ultimate Gaming Creation Workshop, whatever. Yeah, pretty crazy. That's 3 computers, I think, in total. Maybe not. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of letters and things, and I don't really. Now, your streaming environment. No matter how much money you're putting into streaming hardware, it's always worth taking a few minutes to think about your environment. That is the space around your computer. Here you got two main choices, and as with most things, there are pros and cons to consider. A green screen. A lot of streamers like putting up a green screen, basically a big monochrome sheet behind them, because of the consistent color, your computer can easily cut out the background from your video feed. The fancy term for this is chroma key compositing, leaving only your body in the live video output to your stream. On air, this looks very polished, and if you're streaming from a very messy space, it can make your stream look a lot cleaner. Plus, setting up and taking down the green screen is really easy, so it's especially useful if you don't have a dedicated space in which to stream. Downside is that it limits what you'll be able to show to your viewers. For better or for worse, you won't get to show any fun stuff from your environment like posters, pets, friends walking by, or gear from sponsors. Just remember not to wear something green yourself. Live video. Your other option, the one that I use, is having a direct video feed of whatever room you're streaming in. Obviously, you'll want to make sure that you're in the frame. Your viewers are there to watch you, after all. But you'll also want to consider what else we'll be sharing in the frame. In my case, I have a dedicated room for streaming where I've been able to set everything up to my specifications. Think about what you can do for your environment to make it feel as professional as possible. Probably want it to be clean. If there's a wall behind your chair, consider putting up some posters that let viewers know that you're passionate about. Having real space on stream is also an opportunity for product placement, which will be important if you ever get sponsored. Lighting. It's always worth investing in a little bit of floodlight for your setup. Even a simple floodlight for your computer is better than just ambient light. You'd be surprised at how much more professional a stream looks when the streamer has taken the time to put a light on them, because it really focuses the viewer's attention on what matters. You! Look at that. There's a picture of Ninja with a light. Look at how happy he is. Look at that grin. Look at that guy. Look at him go. He's having fun. He's playing, having fun, gaming. The software you need to stream, whether you've got a high-end streaming setup or something much simpler, you've got a lot of options for the kind of software you're going to use. Like everything else we've discussed, it's always worth taking a second to make sure you're using the software that helps you achieve your goals. Pick your streaming client. Your live streaming software, the program that encodes and uploads live video to your stream, is the heart of any broadcaster's content creation. Twitch's help page, help.twitch.tv, maintains an updated list of all the live streaming clients that are compatible with the site, but most people either use XSplit or OBS, Open Broadcaster System. That's what this is on, this video. I know it's crazy. Take advantage of hardware-specific software. If you're using purpose-built hardware like a high-end USB microphone, there's a good chance that it'll come with its own software that offers more customization than Windows does on its own. Using these programs isn't strictly necessary to get a decent quality stream. Your peripherals, microphones, cameras, etc. will work just fine without them, and that's good enough for the vast majority of streamers, but these programs can give you more control over your content. The more time you spend streaming and the reviewing and improving your content, the more you'll understand the kinds of tweaks that hardware specific software offers over out of the box functionality. And there's a hot fix. When you first start your Twitch channel, your viewers won't have access to quality settings. Those are only given to Twitch partners and randomly selected affiliates. Streaming at a high resolution like 1080p can prevent viewers with mediocre internet from being able to view your stream. So to make your stream as accessible as possible, it's smart to broadcast at 720p until Twitch awards your channel quality settings. What's a capture card? A capture card is a great way to upgrade your game when you're ready to take the stream to the next level. When you got two PCs at your disposal, one to game on, one to stream, the capture card is what makes them work with each other. The graphics card in the gaming computer continuously sends data to the capture card, which is connected to the streaming PC. The card captures, records, and encodes the output, which the streaming PC then uploads to Twitch. It's a bit of a luxury, obviously, but it's the best way to make sure that your stream never drops frames and it's stable, giving your viewers the best experience possible. There's pros and cons to OBS and XSplit. Uh, OBS Pros open source software means lots of cool third party applications, absolutely completely free, but you have less control over your audio video settings and it's somewhat less intuitive interface. Now, XSplit is superior audio video quality, more options for local recording and saving a video file of your broadcast, which makes uploading to YouTube easier, and you have more control over video and audio settings. There's no third-party apps, and you have to pay for some of the advanced features, and it's not open source. Those last three are the cons, obviously. Use extensions to give your viewers more value. One of the coolest things about Twitch is how it allows you and your audience to interact with each other in lots of different ways. Twitch extensions are a big part of that. An extension is an interactive overlay that enhances your content to enrich the viewing experience. That can include things like real-time game data, channel notifications, mini-maps, live games, and heat maps. Since Twitch doesn't develop these on its own, but instead relies on third parties to build them, there's a huge community of programmers and creators developing extensions for all kinds of purposes. These developers are constantly making new extensions, so it's worth keeping an eye on what other streamers are using to see if there's something that would fit with your own stream. It's worth keeping an eye on what other streamers are using to see if there's something that would fit with your own stream. And that's over a picture of someone playing a video game. Look at that whole page with the quote there because they couldn't fit on the other page, I guess. I don't know why they felt the need to reiterate it, but it's there. And there's Ninja. Different POV. This time you can't see his face, but you can see his hair. His iconic blue hair. Yeah. Ninja, let's get that dub. All right. What do I do when I'm on air? Well, it might feel like something you're only doing for fun, and the truth is that streaming is a skill. And like any skill, you have to practice. You'll naturally get better over time, but many of the techniques I talked about in chapter 2 apply to Twitch too. Review your broadcast, make some notes, get feedback from friends and other viewers, take it seriously. Watching people better than you can help you figure out what they do well. Think about what they could do better. Here are some things to get you started. Smile a little bigger, be a little louder, wave your arms a little wider. On the previous page, playing Call of Duty Black Ops 4 during TwitchCon's Dorito Bowl in 2018. That was this one. Cultivate a personality people want to watch. Everyone is going to tell you to be yourself, and that's true. When you're faking it or trying too hard to project something you're not, or you just don't have your heart on it, viewers can tell. But being yourself on stream isn't quite the same as being yourself offline. Just like actors will tell you that they have to exaggerate gestures and facial expressions, Twitch streamers need to play out these things too. Twitch is about being yourself even more than usual. Smile a little bigger, be a little louder, wave your arms a little wider. That all might feel a little awkward at first, but you'll get used to it and it'll come across as normal to your audience. If you doubt me, just watch my stream closely. Keep talking until it's a habit. Just like you have to be a little more yourself than usual when you're on there, you also have to get comfortable talking more than you would if you're playing without an audience. This is true even with no one is watching your stream. You never know when someone's going to drop by, and if you're totally silent, you're not giving them a reason to stick around. And there's a picture of Ninja again. It's awesome. It's really great. So many pictures of Ninja. As for what you should talk about, that's up to you. Talking about the game and the decisions you make is always a good strategy, especially if you're good at the game you're streaming. That said, it's harder to pull off live commentary in some games than others. In a fast-paced game without many breaks like Call of Duty, chances are you're going to be too focused on the game to say anything coherent about your decision making. But if you're playing, say, Hearthstone, there's plenty of time for you to talk about your gaming strategies out loud. This might even help you play better. Beyond in-game topics, you can always talk about music, movies, other games you love. Just stick to topics you know so you'll always come across as confident as possible. Remember, what you choose to talk about defines your brand, so make sure it's something you want to be associated with. Interact with other streamers. Socializing with other streamers isn't just a good reason to stream. Beyond building new friendships, it will also help you create your community. Seek out other streamers, both offline and online. Hop onto their streams sometimes, and be sure to invite them onto yours. Doing so will expose you to new audiences and new streamers to play with. It also makes it easier for you to ask them to host your stream. See hosting on page 127, which is the next page. It's literally right there. I don't. Oh, when they're offline and you're online, and vice versa, pay it forward. What's more, playing in groups is often an easy way to increase the amount of social interaction going on in your stream. Since you'll need to communicate with your teammates, you can be sure you'll keep talking on camera. And what viewers want. The biggest question in streaming is, why do viewers tune in? The best answer I have is that they want to get something in return for sharing their attention with you. Sometimes viewers are eager to learn more about a game. Sometimes they just want entertainment, and sometimes they're looking for inspiration. Others just want to be social and hang out and chat. But whatever their motivation for tuning in is, they need to feel like they're getting value from your stream. Otherwise, there's no reason for them to come back. Always pay close attention to what your viewers seem to want and try to deliver. The best streamers know that the relationship between a broadcaster and their audience is really a conversation. Socialize with your audience. In one study, researchers found that a majority of viewers tuned into Twitch not to be entertained or to get better or decide what games to buy, but just for the feeling of being social. That means it's important to interact with your viewers. Ask them questions, listen to what they say. If someone's having a bad day, offer some words of encouragement. Say hello to as many people as you can and greet them by name, especially if they're a subscriber or donate to your channel. And consider checking out Twitch extensions that give you new ways to connect with your audience. You can find all kinds of ways to make them feel connected to you and in your other viewers. You ever think, oh, sorry, hot fix. You ever think, yikes, I shouldn't have said that. Happens to me more than I'd often, happens to me more often than I'd like. Does it, Ninja? Does it really? I can't think of a single clip. I mean, time that's happened to you. But the truth is that Twitch is a mentally demanding activity, and when you're live for hours every day, chances are you're going to say something you regret or you don't mean at some point. When it happens, and it will, the best thing to do is apologize right away. Move on. Try to do better. There's no shame in admitting an error. You just need to make sure your apology is sincere and those errors don't become the norm. So true, Ninja. Now, hosting. Hosting is a great way to participate in the broader community of streamers, letting you build your platform and your community even when you're offline, while also helping out other streamers. Host mode gives all offline broadcasters the ability to host another streamer's channel when it's live, so your viewers get exposed to a new streamer, but have their own chat separate from whatever streamer you're hosting. You can even hop into chat from time to time to stir up discussion. You can also ask your friends to host you when you're live and they're not, which will help show your content to new audiences. Just be sure to offer to host in return, especially if your channel starts to grow. Ninja's Way. Woo! Find like minded streamers. If you've decided that you want to stream with other people, the next step is deciding who you want to stream with. When you're a smaller streamer, it's not too much of a detriment to your brand to stream with whomever you want. You don't have thousands of people expecting you to play with a certain person day in and day out. So when you're on the grind, playing with people who have even 5 or 10 more viewers than you can help. In the best case scenario, you can become friends and continue to build off each other's streaming platform and communities. Once you get to 1,000 viewers, things start to change. You have to ask, who do I want to be associated with? And whether or not those people would have the same vision as you, same style of streaming and stuff like that. Tim, Lupo, and I are on the same page. We never swear and we embrace the family friendly kind of thing, which was a conscious decision. In a nutshell, just play with the people who share the same goals and ideals as you. Build your community. That's the thing. Form a community online. Never mind, it's different. The thing that separates well known streamers from casual ones is the community they build. When you're a streamer, you're creating a platform where others can gather and interact around a common interest. But fostering any community takes work. You need to consistently gather people in one place so that they start to get to know one another. Remember that your fans are some of your best ambassadors, and if they're passionate about you, they'll share your content with their friends, exponentially increasing your reach. Discord, a free voice and text app built with gamers in mind, is a great way to get your community together in one place. You can think of it as a big chat room for your friends or fans where they can hang out, whether you're live or offline. Even for small streamers, it's worth putting a link to a personal Discord in your Twitch profile. Not only is Discord useful for making sure that important announcements like, hey, I'm live, or new subscriber emotes are going to get seen by the people that matter most, but gathering all your fans also enriches their connection to one another and lets you interact directly with them. Discord gives you a way to keep your community connected even when you're not online. Just be sure that you stay connected to them too. Hop in every now and then and talk to folks to see what they're up to. You'll be glad you did. They will too. Be the streamer you want to see. When you're a streamer and you've got a community, you're also, like it or not, a role model. That means taking responsibility, not just for yourself, but also for the community you've built. And the strongest communities aren't built just on shared interests, but shared beliefs. You can't control every individual fan, obviously, but you can try to define what your fandom is about. Do the best to set the tone so that the conversations going on in your chat or Discord don't turn into a toxic cesspool. When new people join, encourage older fans to show them the ropes. Just because someone is inexperienced doesn't mean their interest in your stream or a certain game isn't genuine. The internet can be a mean place, but you have an opportunity to make it kinder. And there's a picture. You'll never believe it. It's streaming with his buddies Dr. Lupo, Timothy Tapman, and Courage JD on New Year's Eve in Times Square. Wait, Times Square! He wasn't seeing enough movement, but there he is. He's right there. He's that one. There they are. He's there. He's on the thing. Wow, what a moment for history. Tips for growing your stream. Set reasonable goals for yourself and make them as clear as possible. Don't just aim to get more subscribers, but be even more specific. Like, I'll have 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Find a clear cut angle for your stream. Are you helping viewers find new games or showing them in game tips and tricks? Do you want to play a single game and develop a rich story and tight knit community over time? All of these can work, but you can't do all of them at once. Reflect on what you're best at and stick to it. You're unique, which means you can make your broadcast unique too. Play games you care about, but I've never really played a shooter I didn't like, so that's what I focus on. If you're not passionate about the game you're playing, your audience probably won't get excited about what you're streaming either. Build a wish list. When your audience wants to see you succeed, they want ways to support you. They can tune in, spread your stream on their own social media profiles, subscribe, give donations. But when you're starting out, sometimes fans are willing to help you get gear to improvise to improve your content. A lot of small streamers have an Amazon wish list on their profile that includes hardware upgrades, new games to play, or anything else that can improve a stream. Stream consistently. If you log on only when you feel like it, your viewers are going to think you're not taking it seriously and will take their attention somewhere else. Trying to mark off a specific time on specific days in streaming can be your first priority. Don't ignore your audience. They're here not just to watch you play, but to interact with you and one another. Participate in conversations, spark discussions, and react to your chat. Doing so will do wonders for making them feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, and you'll feel that way too. You can't skimp on social media. Post on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or wherever else when you go live. If your viewers save clips of your best plays or worst ones, ask them to tweet them at you and then retweet them. And be sure to engage with your audience directly. Even a simple like can make someone's day. Persevere. Almost every professional streamer knows what it's like to doubt themselves. Streaming is a wonderful hobby, but it's not always an easy one, especially when you're starting out. I streamed for years to a small audience, and I never knew if I was going to make it big, but I did it because I love streaming. And even if I didn't have thousands of subscribers, I drew strength from the community of loyal viewers I did have. Now, there's an ups and downs of streaming thing here. It's kind of hard to describe. It's like a game. It's like a game kind of. And I hope you can kind of get a good idea of what that all says. It's a lot of fun. Look at that. You go up and you go down when you do things and say things. You start from your first stream right there. Yeah, a lot of fun. It's just a little follow it up, and you get it. You go up and down. Oh, New Year's with Ninja. Wow, look, there he is in Times Square. Wow, look at that. Look at him go with his red hair now. Planning for the Times Square event we did started when I was streaming at Lollapalooza the summer before, and I was approached by someone from, you guessed it, Red Bull. The guy said, we have this killer idea. We want you to stream from Times Square on New Year's Eve. Honestly, my first thought was, how is that even possible? How can you make that safe and secure? Will people even like this? But Red Bull's team said they found an amazing room and rented it out and that they wanted me to be there. So we decided to do it. It really wouldn't have been possible without their help. When the time came, we flew to New York on December 29th to start preparing and to make sure that we did that everything about the room was good. We wanted to make it as hype as we could, which meant making sure that I had a sick setup and space to interact with fans. The view was crazier than I could have imagined, right on the street in Times Square with huge windows all around. During the New Year's Eve show, we look outside and could see Ryan Seacrest. The streaming itself was similar to what it always is because I've done it so many venues. But the atmosphere, all the people, the lights, the cameras, the rain, the music, the flossing, that made it really memorable. And my whole family flew to New York to support me, as did some of my streaming friends, my other family. But the most memorable part was probably walking in the rain with Jessica after we left the venue. We had security with us, but we got all the way to the main stage to be interviewed by somebody. Our outfits were totally soaked in the rain that night, but being able to walk past all these people and see their support, that was unforgettable. It just goes to show how much gaming matters to all kinds of people all over the world. Fortnite, Ninja New Year's, Fortnite, Ninja New Year's, Fortnite, Ninja New Year's, 2019. Fortnite Ninja, Ninja New Year's. Whew. Now we've reached the final chapter. It's been a long journey, but we're here. It's time to grow up. Time to move on, folks. Let's face it, gaming can get a bad reputation. Chances are you've heard something about how gaming makes you antisocial or leads to aggressiveness or ruins your schoolwork. And sure, there are a lot of problems in the world, and it's easy to blame games if you've never tried one. But that's not the gaming I know. And I'll bet it's not the one you do either. At its best, gaming helps you meet friends, not lose them. It helps you relieve stress, not increase it. It can make you be a better, more effective person. The truth is that gaming can help you live a better life. That's what that's even in bold. Look, it's in a different color. And this chapter is about just that, the mental game. It's tempting to think that everything that makes a gamer great has to do with their in game skills, but what happens outside of the game matters just as much as what happens inside it. Too often, I've seen the careers of extremely talented players ruined because they couldn't get a handle of their mental state and couldn't control their temper. Here's the truth. Mental skills are gaming skills. Social skills are gaming skills. What that means is you can't celebrate gaming for the rest of your life. You have to see how they're intertwined for the better. There's another picture of Ninja, his wife and the dog. It's in black and white for some reason. I guess growing up means no more color. Cultivate a winning mindset. Psychologists have spent a lot of time over the last decade to prove what gamers have known all along, that gaming is a mentally demanding activity. Playing well is as much about keeping your head in a good space as it is about developing your in-game abilities. That means that if you want to play your best in game, you need to take care of yourself outside of it. If you're not focused, if you're not motivated, if you don't have goals, short or long term, or you're lacking self confidence, that's going to hurt your ability to play your best. Put in the right kind of effort. It's important to match your mindset to your actions. Practicing, competing, and playing casually are different activities, and each has its own headspace for you to get into. No one can do one of them all the time, but a lot of young players try to go into all three with the same kind of attitude. This leads to problems because your attitude and your actions are mismatched. If you're practicing with a casual mindset, you won't see results. And if you're going to get frustrated, and if you're playing casually with a competitive mindset, you're going to get frustrated, especially if you're playing with friends who just want to have fun. So before you start any kind of gaming session, take a moment to remind yourself what you're trying to achieve with it. I promise it'll feel more purposeful and you'll save yourself some frustration. Everyone needs downtime. If you're focusing on one game with all your energy, it's good to have a couple of video games you enjoy on the side. Maybe you've got a low stress game that you like to go back to, or an MMO where you can drop in every once in a while and do some quests with friends. New games are always coming out, and it's worth trying new ones as they come out to stay on top of what's popular or even discover a new passion. Balance your life. If you spend a lot of time watching my stream, you know how important my family is to me. My wife Jessica and my brothers are a huge part of my life, and they remind me that there's a life beyond gaming. When I was starting out, I would get upset whenever someone walked in the room when I was streaming. But now, if one of my brothers wants to hang out, happy to turn off the stream and spend time with them. Just like elite competitors have good all around in game skills, part of growing up is finding balance in your life. Sometimes people see playing games as opposed to real life, where others see it as their entire life. Both are wrong, I think. Gaming is as much a part of your life as anything else is, and you don't have to choose. What you do have to do is make sure that it's helping, not harming, everything else you have going on your family, your schoolwork, your social life. This is true even when you're trying to go pro, but there are some other considerations during the beginning of your career. You're going to have to make sacrifices. There were so many times where I wanted to spend time with my brothers or my wife, but I had to stay on my grind. Just make sure you don't sacrifice everything, because the truth is that no professional gamer can do it on their own. I have a dream job, sure, but it's the people around me who make it possible. I might be the only one on stream, but I couldn't do what I do without the support of my wife, my family, and my talent agency. What I'm saying is this: finding balance between gaming and the things that aren't gaming will actually help you become a better gamer, whether you want to stream or compete. Now, before we go on to the next page, we have a hot fix and a ninja's way. We're so lucky. Here's the thing about having a competitive mindset: you have it or you don't. You don't have to have one to enjoy playing games, but if you're serious about being the best, your will to win is going to be the fire that keeps you fighting. In everything I've ever done, soccer, video games, whatever, I've always wanted to be the best. I've hated when teammates would say, Tyler, why are you so mad? It's just a game. In the middle of an actual game, I'd reply, what are you even doing playing if you don't actually care about the game? Would you ever say it's just a game to Tom Brady when he's playing in the Super Bowl? Of course not. I'd be easier on myself if I didn't have that mentality, but I do, and I probably wouldn't be at where I'm at today without it. These days, I'm better at understanding that not everyone shares that attitude. That's okay. But you should really ask yourself, why do you really want to be the best? What keeps you going? How are you always going to challenge yourself to improve? You can practice as much as you want, but unless you're hungry, you're not going to see the results you want. And your time would be better spent just playing games rather than trying to master them. Now for the Ninja's Way. That was the hot fix. When I'm not playing Fortnite or Apex Legends, Final Fantasy 16 is hands down or 11. Sorry, why did I say 16? That's 11. Final Fantasy 11 is hands down my favorite game. I played it for my whole life pretty much, and I think it made me into the person I am today. It was just a good MMO. Challenged you and you couldn't do anything alone. You were forced to think critically, come up with strategies, and form certain parties to accomplish certain different tasks. So you had to have patience. I'd wait an hour or two just to be able to do one thing in game. That was hard when I was 12 or 13, but it taught me a lot about patience, about teamwork, about creativity, and so many other things, and made me hella good at typing. And we've got another Ninja's Way on the other side. Let's go. Dealing with stress. I've got dog therapy. It's so funny because I'll have a really bad day and then I'll walk upstairs and they come up and just start licking my face. And I'm like, you guys just get me. It's like, how could I be a bad person if these two dogs are just loving me? Ninja's own words. So, how to deal with stress? Take Ninja's dogs. Set and meet goals. Achieving goals is one of the best way to keep your motivation up. They're a tangible reminder that you really are improving and that the work you're putting in is worth it. Goals can be big or small, short or long term, but when you're challenging yourself, goals give structure to your life and your actions. Over time, that lets you turn little achievements into big ones. Build self confidence. A few years ago, I read an interview with Jaedong, one of the best StarCraft players in history, and for a while, the highest earning gamer of all time. He was going through a slump, and the interviewer asked Jaedong who he thought would win a tournament he was competing in. Jaedong replied that he goes in every tournament thinking that he's the favorite to win because that's the kind of self confidence you need to win. He ended up winning that tournament, by the way. I think he was right. What he's describing isn't always rational. Sometimes you really aren't the favorite to win, but if you go into a match doubting your ability to come out on top, that's gonna eat at you the whole time and hurt your ability to play effectively. Believe in yourself isn't just a slogan. It's a way of becoming a person you imagine yourself to be. And we've got a huge hot fix for avoiding tilt. Anyone who's played video games knows what it's like to tilt, that irrational anger at yourself or others from some upsetting in game event, which leads you to get frustrated and make even more unforced errors. It's a vicious cycle, and once you're in it, it's hard to get out. The best thing you can do to avoid tilt is prevent it from happening in the first place. If you're already in a bad mood, stay away from whatever game you're taking seriously. Play something simpler, or a game that you're not as invested in, or do something else entirely. Alternatively, set a hard number of losses before you can take a break. So, for example, if you lose 3 games in a row, take a 15-minute break and do something else. Once you're tilting, though, the only real solution is to walk away. The problem with tilt is that it's a cycle. It makes you play worse, which will make you even more frustrated and likely to play even worse. There's even a picture of the cycle here. Hard loss or bad play, player gets frustrated, player tunnel visions on mistake, unfocused player makes bad gameplay choices, player's bad choices are easily punished, hard loss or bad play, rinse repeat, etc. Now we have a page where Ninja talks about smart goals, which is awesome. Thank you, Ninja. Smart goals, smart goal setting, smart goal making is a popular idea in a lot of life coaching that helps people develop, set, and reach their goals, whether they are short term or long term. Is what each Following is what each letter in the SMART acronym stands for, and examples of how to change less helpful goals or better defined goals. I don't think the word is should be there. I think it's just following what each letter. Yeah. Wow. There's another. Oh, wow. Now, S is for specific. It's no good setting vague goals because you won't actually be able to know when you've reached them. Bad. Win more Fortnite games. Good. Win at least one or two, etc. games each day. Measurable. Attaching a number to your goals is a great way to hold yourself accountable, and it also focuses your goals. Not everything can be broken down into a number, but they're useful for you to recognize what your goal really is and to know when you met it. Bad. Be better at Fortnite. Good. Improve my KDA, kill death assist ratio, by zero point 0.5 over the next 6 weeks. Attainable. There's there are dreams and then there are goals. And while it's important to have both, you should be honest with yourself about what you think you can realistically achieve. If your goal is too much to handle, it will feel impossible and you'll just demoralize yourself. Challenge yourself, but within reason. Remember, you can always set bigger goals once you meet the smaller ones. Bad. Beat Ninja at a local area network event. Good. Win a local tournament hosted at my school or a LAN cafe. Relevant. Making sure your goals are relevant to you means taking a step back and asking why you want to achieve them. If you're taking your goals seriously, chances are that you're working towards something bigger. Maybe it's winning at a local tournament or just improving a specific skill. Bad. I'm trying to improve my building skills, so I'm practicing my tracking aim. Good. I'm trying to improve my building skills, so I'm forcing fights in open areas. Time related. When you're setting goals, try to think of them as either short, medium, or long term goals. Be honest with yourself about what you can think you can achieve in a few days, a few weeks, or a year or more. Goals build on one another. Big goals require achieving a lot of little ones, but if you only focus on the little ones, you'll miss the big picture. Bad. Get 100 new followers to my stream by next week. Good. Grow my stream to 250 subscribers over the next 12 months. And from that, we go into a ninja's way, dealing with frustration. Playing League of Legends is the first time I got introduced to the concept of tilting. It was about 6 years ago. One of my buddies just told me, dude, you're tilted, like the towers. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, you're playing stupidly and you need to take a break. And I realized I was playing stupidly. I was making dumb plays trying to make a point, even though I knew they weren't the right calls. So I just hopped off for a bit, 30 minutes to an hour probably, got some food, watched a little television, took a walk, got some fresh air. There are lots of things you can do when you're tilted. Take a shower, change your clothes, literally anything that will reset your mind. If you can just get the game out of your head for a few minutes, then you're going to be in a good spot to say, all right, let's get back to the grind. Manage your stress and emotions. Let's face it, gaming can be frustrating. If you're a really serious competitor like me, chances are that losing feels worse than winning feels good. And since you're going to lose sometimes, you need to find a way to deal with the negative feelings that come with it. Over the last couple of years, I've started to understand that it's okay and normal to get angry, but it's also important to understand that you're upset and take the right steps to get back into a good headspace. Too many gamers just get angrier and angrier and blame everyone but themselves. Criticism. Shrug it off or respond. Every day that I go online, which, is literally every day, I know I'm going to read at least one mean comment about me, probably hundreds across Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, and anyone else on the internet. Even people who have subscribed to my channel sometimes say really rude things like, you suck or you're bad at the game. And even though there's a part of me that wants to completely ignore these or never see them, that's just not going to happen because no streamer ever got popular from ignoring their audience. Hot fix. It's easy to. Whew, sorry, I wasn't excited about that. It's a hot fix. Let's get some hype. It's easy to brush off criticism when you know it's untrue. When someone says I suck at Fortnite, I know they're probably just jealous because they know I don't suck at Fortnite. And I've got a couple thousand ways to prove it. But people do say things that get to me sometimes, usually because I know they're right. No one likes being wrong, and the truth is that we're all wrong sometimes, and that's okay. Question is how you respond. Remember that taking criticism to heart makes you look more, not less, competent. If you refuse to listen to your teammate or practice partner when they say, hey, that wasn't the right choice, then you're never going to improve. So you owe it to yourself and everyone around you to consider the possibility that you're wrong. Gaming for good. One of the best ways to show the world that gaming can be a force of good is to use gaming to support important social causes. Some of the most important things I've ever done have been the various charity events I've participated in over the course of my career, like my stream supporting the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It feels great to know you're gaming for a good cause, of course, but these kinds of events also do wonders for helping out gaming's reputation in the public eye. But you don't have to wait until you're well known to take part in a charity event. Instead, you should think about what you can do with the skills, passions, and resources you have now. If you love streaming, you can do a 24-hour stream and collect donations for a good cause. If you're into esports, you can organize a charity tournament at a local venue. And if you're an excellent player, you can volunteer your time and skill to teach newer players in your community. You don't have to choose between gaming and making the world a better place. And it says that again there too, just in case you didn't catch it, I'll read it again. You don't have to choose between gaming and making the world a better place. It's very important. Life lesson. Now, we're actually nearing the end of the book. Um, we have 2 pages left, and we have acknowledgments, and we have the resources and an index and more index, and that's it. So, uh, yeah, it's been quite a journey, folks. Um, so we've got yeah, really 3 pages left. So, starting off the end with everyone's a gamer. And there's Ninja. Look at that. Everyone's a gamer. All of you. Everyone ever. Not everyone plays the same games, of course, and not everyone plays the same way, but you're looking at an art form that just about everyone has been involved in one way or another. Games really do rank up there with film and music. If you're ever at a loss with how to connect with someone, there's a good chance you can get them to light up by talking about video games. Ask what they're playing, and no matter what they say, try to learn what they like about a game, even if it's one you don't have any interest in playing. Chances are they'll ask you next. I really believe that there's no right way to be a gamer, and while it's tempting to think that competitive gamers like me are the only real gamers out there, competition is only one way to out of many to engage with games. So make gaming a tool to connect with other people rather than splitting the world into gamers and non-gamers. Because if there's one thing that's true about everyone on Earth, it's that we all love to play. Because it's all about the game. It doesn't say that. I added that on, sorry. Ninja's Way. What I'd tell my 13-year-old self. I'd go back and tell me to do exactly what I did. I still have time to play video games during middle and high school, as for 4 hours a day, while still getting A's, B's, and a couple of C's, as well as being a full time soccer player. Year round, I had soccer practice and soccer games, but if I wasn't doing that or doing homework, I was using that time to play video games. I had friends who were gaming with me, but that was a lot of my social life. But I'd warned myself that when it became time for me to get really serious about games, I'd have to make some really tough decisions. There ended up being a lot of choosing between hanging out with friends or going to a movie or a football game and just staying home instead to put in the practice hours. At some point, I had to start making sacrifices, and I wish I'd known I'd have to do that sooner. Sweet times at the Super Bowl. Uh, yeah, so there's a picture of Ninja with a football and a white suit and a gold. It's the football is gold and pink hair. It's with Juju Smith-Schuster of the Pittsburgh Steelers after shooting our cameo in the NFL 100 commercial for the Super Bowl. Yeah, so the NFL actually reached out about having me do something with Super Bowl. Um, one of them, I don't know, L3. I don't even remember what L stands for in Roman numerals. Hold on, give me 1 second. It's 50. It's 50. It's Super Bowl 53. Yeah, a few months before the event. Sorry about that, folks. It was the NFL's 100th season, so they wanted to do something special. Initially, there were talks about me streaming during halftime, but we didn't think that would. that could make cool enough for. We didn't think that we could make that cool enough for the fans, so we decided to just have me appear as a waiter in a commercial instead. It's on YouTube if you haven't seen it. I flew out to Los Angeles to film a couple of talks with some big name players and the NFL's commissioner. They also offered Jessica and me some sweet tickets. It's pretty much impossible to turn down, so we flew to Atlanta for the big game. Our suite was actually right next to Steve Harvey's suite, and we had a ton of celebrity sightings. We rode the elevator up with Conor McGregor, and then Tygo was in our suite along with a couple big name Instagrammers and YouTubers. We were obviously excited just to be there and to see the Super Bowl in person, but honestly, the coolest part of the entire night was the food. Oh my god, the food! We went tailgating at Guy Fieri's pregame beforehand, and they had 10 different stations, each with different things, one for barbecue, one for Chinese, a taco bar, one for burgers, and one with the best chicken wings I'd ever eaten, period. There was also an auction for the hurricane relief charity. Jessica and I bought a few things like a Tom Brady jersey and helmets from the Lions. And that's what he has to say. Now, we've reached the end of the book. We've reached the acknowledgments page. I'm not reading you the index, but I will read the acknowledgments on page 153. And here's the picture of Ninja to go with it. Ninja Fortnite Tyler Blevins, the last one you'll see, other than the one on the back of the book. On it, obviously, actually, wait. Now there's a couple more in here, um, for whatever reason. But yeah, so you don't get to the top without surrounding yourself with the best. I want to take a moment to express my gratitude. Thanks to the awesome team at Loaded, including Kyle, Colin, Justin, and Brandon. What? Um, huh. We're just gonna, yeah. Um, anyways, uh, back to the acknowledgments. Thanks to the awesome team at Loaded, including Kyle, Colin, Justin, and Brandon, for guiding me along the way and helping me to build my brand. You guys never fail to impress me with your creativity. I'm grateful to my publishers at Penguin Random House, both at Clarkson Potter in the US and Ebury in the UK, for their expertise in publishing my first book. Special thanks to my skilled editors, Borsix, sure, and Angelin Borsix and Emma Smith, Mia Johnson, Nick Caruso, and Steve Laird for their vision, Chris Philpott for his awesome illustrations, Heather Williamson for proofing all the art, and Patty Shaw and Allison Haig for crossing all my T's and dotting all my I's, and the two typos that I noticed at least. And to Daniel Wilkie, Lauren Kretschmar, Stephanie Knowles, and Tessa Henderson for getting the word out about Get Good in a big way. No one worked harder on this book than Will Parton, who's an excellent listener, deft writer, and a skilled gamer in his own right, who worked on this book in the middle of writing his doctoral dissertation. Thanks for all your help in pulling the pieces together. To the photographers whose fine work is featured in these pages, including Carlo Cruz, David Doran, Eric Espina, Benedict Evans, Joe Gall, Drew Gurian, William Kay, Ethan Miller, Robert Rainers, Leo Rosas, and Bartek Wolfinski. When you're streaming almost nonstop like I am, it's amazing to take a break and see my world through someone else's eyes. Thanks especially to the team at Red Bull for being the best brand partner a guy could ask for. It's been a wild ride so far, and I look forward to what's in store for the future. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my fans who cheer me and build me up during every one of my streams. And to my gaming buddies, teammates, and competitors who always keep me on my feet, thank you. My friends, thank you, Mom and Dad, for encouraging my interest in video games at the very beginning. To my brothers, my first competitors and teammates, I'll always look up to you. I love you all. And to my biggest supporter, Jessica, marrying you was my biggest win, and I'll never take that for granted. Love you so much. There you go. And then there's resources. So there's what he used. I'm not going to read them out. It's a lot, but there's the resources. Yeah, you can totally see them all. Totally see them all. And there's Ninja again. And you'll never believe what's on the next page, but it's the index and Ninja again. There he is in his gaming setup with a shit ton of wires. Whew. Yeah, and that's it. 2019. It's the end of the book. We did it, folks. I read the whole stinking thing for you, like you asked me to, for whatever reason. Anyway, like I said, I keep it just here, not in my closet, behind the monitor, just in case I ever need it. But yeah, honestly, I just have to, for this video, I have to thank my biggest supporter, this rat. Um, yeah, I can't really think of anyone else. So thanks for watching, nerds.